Good evening, everybody. I am Ryan alongside Caleb here, Michigan Storm Chasers. Although this is not a Michigan stream tonight, this is going to be a little bit of a more relaxed stream, but yet a very serious one at the same time. We are watching and tracking Hurricane Milton as it starts to move on shore here in the next couple of hours. Current time is 5:30 p.m. here on Wednesday evening. So if you want to watch us for a longer period of time, we're going to be on probably for several hours here until we see landfall of Hurricane Milton here. But we also have ongoing events happening here in eastern southern Florida here. All these red boxes here are tornado warnings ongoing here across the eastern portion of Florida. In fact, we actually have a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado on the ground here near Vero Beach, Florida. And again, I want to preface this whole entire stream by saying we're going to be talking about tornadoes and flooding. None of this tonight has to do with Michigan at all. This is only Florida. So don't freak out. There is absolutely nothing happening in Michigan tonight. This is strictly a Florida stream. Just kind of sit here and watch this with you guys. I know many of you guys have friends and family here who live in Florida. So starting with this tornado, looking on radar, it's a very distinct and very tight circulation there. You can see at top left, your radar, the purple dot, that's debris being thrown in the air. Bottom right, that is your debris tracker, correlation coefficient. That's debris getting lofted up into the atmosphere. And the top right is your velocity, your winds, blues going toward the radar, reds going away from the radar. So this tornado is actually quite large. We have a picture of it through the traffic cameras here in Florida. Florida has come in clutch with the amount of traffic camera shots we have today of tornadoes. We'll go ahead and load this up here to show you guys what this tornado looks like. Unfortunately, we don't have a live shot of it, but this is what the traffic cam picked up a few minutes ago here on the Vero Beach tornado area. This is going to be, again, eastern Florida, and that is what we call a wedge tornado here in, I don't know what county this is. This is going to be Indian River County in Florida. So tracking this back here on the radar, I'm going to go ahead and flip over here to our correlation coefficient tracker here. And the bulk of this currently is over Orchid Island, just north of Rio Mar, just to the east of Vero Beach and Gifford. This is your debris ball right here, riding up the coast here of Florida. Pop out the comment section here. See who we got in chat. We have Axe, Karen, Aaron, Lynn, Lenita, Eliza, Tammy. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys in here. We'll be on here for a few hours tracking this as it comes ashore. The eye of Hurricane Milton is about to make landfall, but the official landfall won't happen until the eye gets onto shore here. So here's the eye. And then the outer wall here is starting to make landfall. And with this comes storm surge as well. So the southern Tampa Bay area here from St. Petersburg, from Bradenton, Sarasota, down toward Englewood has to deal with storm surge. So we're going to pop out a few different products here. Go ahead and take back the other radar momentarily while I mess with some products here. We have some cool graphics here from the National Hurricane Center to go ahead and show you guys. Let me pop this in. There we go. So these are all publicly available to you guys if you want to go look at this. It's the National National Hurricane Center website. It's nhc.noaa.gov. This picture here is showing us the storm surge forecast as of 5 p.m. That purple area there from roughly Tampa Bay and points southward to Bonita Beach, 9 to 13 feet of storm surge is expected. Now, if you take that 15 or 13 or so feet, think of, two people stacked on top of each other, almost three people stacked on top of each other. There is no way to survive that if you live close to the ocean there. There's just absolutely no way to do it. This is why mandatory evacuation zones are in place. It's just not a good situation here along the coast of Florida. Up there in, or should I say up and down there in orange zones, 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. That's still significant. And then the yellow zones, 2 to 4, up to 5 feet there further south toward Flamingo. And then in the blue zones, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. So the concentrated center of storm surge in the orange, purple, and red zones there. A few other things we can look at here is the warning cones and stuff like that. We do expect this to make landfall tonight, roughly about 9, perhaps 10 p.m. around that time frame. We don't have specifics just yet. It's kind of trending faster. So sometime between now and midnight, we're going to see landfall. And we're going to be here covering it as it does make landfall. We'll be watching social media as well as getting updates here on radar as well. So with that being said, we are monitoring traffic cameras via the Florida 511.com website. So we do have all of these data points here pulled up. We have Twitter as well. A lot of storm chasers on the ground reporting. We'll have those reports for you as well. Unfortunately, we don't have any of our staff down there chasing, but we will be able to bring you guys some amount of coverage on this via third-hand, second-hand reports from Twitter. I will mention as well, all these tornado warnings on the eastern coast of Florida are all confirmed. They are all observed tornadoes. The one up top here is a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado. This one right here, it's going to be a PDS, we call it. If you remember the last PDS here, we had Michigan, probably back on May 7th, I think it was. That's your portage type of tornado. It's on the ground. It's a wedge type of tornado. It's similar to that. So PDS here for Florida. Again, nothing's happening in Michigan tonight, but every single one of these warnings has a confirmed tornado on it. This one down here, confirmed. This one down here, confirmed. It's hard to see with the radar clutter here, but overall, it's a very serious situation going on across Florida. And throughout the afternoon, we've seen multiple large and extremely dangerous tornadoes cross the southern part of Florida. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull up storm reports today. I'm sure there are probably upwards of 10 to 20, if not more. We're at 20 so far, reported tornadoes that have struck Florida today. And there is your live shot of that tornado. It's not alive, it's a few minutes ago, or I can't tell what time that is. But that is your shot of that wedge tornado there near the Indian River Shores area. Now, I do believe it's moved off onto the water, so I think we're done as far as the land, as far as like the land affected people go. But it's moved on to onto the water here, so no longer a threat here for the Indian River Shores area. Go ahead and pop up radar Omega. I can show you where the tornado is in comparison. So here's land where the edge of this red polygon ends. That's your land water zone. This little bulge right here, that's your tornado. So it's over water. But if we go ahead and back this up and track where this touched down and such, this was a very large tornado. We can see the debris ball right there as it moves northward across the lakeshore. If we track this back further, just to the east of Vero Beach, back further, Oslo area. Now, this entire area, if we zoom in, these are all neighborhoods that got impacted by this. And these are not well-built structures. These are more like trailer home structures as well. So likely significant damage occurred here in this neighborhood. We're going to call it the Lakewood Park all the way up to Vero Beach area. Likely received a significant amount of damage from that tornado. Yeah, Florida homes don't really have basements. Yeah, you are correct there, Aaron. They really don't. So hopefully many of these people are aware of what's happening. They should have been aware, given all the warning they've had. Although I don't think any of us really expected this large of an outbreak of tornadoes today. It didn't catch us off guard, but more so kind of surprised us in a way. We knew there's going to be a few, but nothing like what we've seen today. You're also muted, Caleb. You're muted. There you go.
Everybody probably thinks I'm crazy. My lips are moving, but they can't hear me. Yeah, we didn't really expect to see the strength of the tornadoes today. We didn't really expect any PDS warnings today, that of which is a surprise. But then again, not surprising given the atmospheric dynamics that are in place today across South Central Florida. We have a lot of wind shear, and some instability was able to build as well. So that those two ingredients coming together really produced a prime environment for tornadoes across South Central Florida. And will continue over the next 2 hours as well until this system moves across the state. Now, the outer band that you see there on the top right part of your screen, that will continue to move offshore away from Florida. However, additional supercell development is possible across south central Florida. In fact, this tornado watch is in effect now until, for another 3 hours and 20 minutes. So we got a little ways to go yet. We'll see if they reissue that or what they'll do there. But yeah, tonight's not over, and we have a long night to go ahead, and a lot going on.
Yep, but if you're just joining us, I see a lot of you guys are just popping in here. We've been covering this up until landfall, and perhaps just a bit after landfall. So we're going to be on here for about 3, maybe 4 or 5 hours streaming coverage of this for you guys. So kick back, relax. I know this is a serious situation for Florida. We're going to try and keep it relaxed so tonight. This isn't Michigan that's being affected, so there's no imminent threat to us.
Nope.
But many of you guys have friends and family, and a lot of you guys wanted us to do this, so here we are. So hang out with us. Feel free to ask questions. We'll do our best to answer those and keep you guys updated. But the center of Milton is currently a Category 3 hurricane, winds of 120 miles per hour, moving about 20 or so miles per hour to the east-northeast. Landfall will take place in about 3 to 5 hours. It is expected to be a Category 3 upon landfall. Winds right around that 120 zone. And then storm surge is going to be significant regardless of Category 5, Category 2. Storm surge is still expected to be up to 13 feet in spots where this eye makes landfall. I see we have Alex in here with us now. What's up, Alex, if you're here?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going pretty good. Glad to see you in here. Do you have another update coming from the page later on?
We do, yeah. Just waiting for the next 6 p.m. tracking so we can get that heading. We know it's moving northeast now, but landfall location is going to be critical for the Tampa Bay area, especially with that storm surge. It's going to be bad along and south of that landfall point. So if this does indeed continue northeast, it's going to be a very close call for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I see it's kind of trying to shift northward. This thing, these hurricanes like to wobble. We call it wobbling back and forth, north south, and this is going to wobble up until landfall. So, as Alex just mentioned, it's going to be vital to kind of pinpoint where that's going to be. Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Tampa. Like it's still got some things to work out here. So,
yeah, it really does. And like Ryan just mentioned, the wobble is the big thing because as it continues to move north. It's actually going to start interacting more and more with that trough and become more involved with the upper level dynamics of the atmosphere. So we're going to watch to see how quickly it does move north and if it does make any more wobbles, because those are very, very hard to predict unless we're tracking hour by hour right up until landfall.
Yep. And that's what we're doing here, trying to stay on top of it for you. Alex has been behind most all of our hurricane updates, if you guys are reading the page. So shout out to Alex for keeping us updated with that. He'll have another one coming up after the 6 p.m. advisory update from the NHC, so stay tuned to the page for that. But we still got about 3 or 4 hours to go until landfall, and then peak storm surge is about to occur pretty imminently, I'd say, if not already starting to occur along the western Florida shore.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit ago from some of the storm chasers that are down there. I think the name is Vanderbilt Beach. I'm not sure exactly where that's at, where Warren Fradley, one of the storm chasers, is, but he was notating that storm surge was starting to go up.
Okay. I've seen a few videos so far suggesting that storm surge is starting to occur, but nothing significant yet.
Yeah, nothing either, just that it's begun.
Okay. We have a couple of videos here coming in, not to us, but just kind of monitoring the feeds here about the, I'm going to pop this in real quick, about what's going on there on the eastern coast. I'll go ahead and display this very quickly here. This is a video coming in from Kona bound 2010. You have a tornado there in Westlake, Florida. These things have been pretty large this evening, so just not a good scene there across. At least 20 reports of tornadoes today across the area, southern Florida area. So more are possible, but I think we're going to be seeing a decline here in terms of overall tornadic activity. And again, we're going to be monitoring Twitter as well to kind of figure out what's happening where in real time. So we have all tabs open. We have traffic cams, we have Twitter, we have updates from chasers that we know who are down there. None of us on MSC are down there, unfortunately, but we do have updates coming in from multiple chasers who are. In fact, if I were to turn on the spotter network overlay on Omega here, you guys are going to see how many chasers are down here. Yeah, look at all these green dots here along the western coast. These are all storm chasers in Sarasota, up to Bradenton, St. Petersburg, some in Tampa as well. All these green dots are chasers who have made the trip down to Florida to get in the front of Milton.
Yep, and I want to give you guys a quick look. I have a traffic cam pulled up here, and this is on the Dick Mincer Bridge, and this is just on the south side of St. Petersburg going over Tampa Bay. This is a northbound camera, but look at the wobble there. Some really strong winds are starting to pick up. Here's the outer eye wall of Hurricane Milton is starting to come on shore. The center of the eye is still quite a ways offshore, but this is the outermost edge of the eye wall, which is brushing the shoreline here. So we're starting to see some pretty strong winds here come ashore and interact with land here. You can tell by the wobbling of the camera.
Yeah, I know that they had closed most of those bridges earlier this afternoon, so hopefully, especially in and around Tampa Bay, some of those bridges that are more susceptible have been closed off for the safety of everyone. However, that also means that if you are in and around Tampa Bay in that area, it is time to shelter in place if you haven't evacuated already for your family and friends that you might have down there. It's shelter in place time. The hurricane is here. Unfortunately, you just need to ride it out.
And treat it as you would a tornado. Go to the centermost
Yes.
part of your home, away from windows. If you're in a storm surge area, go to the upstairs in the centermost part of your house. And just in case your first floor gets inundated with water. If you are in the evacuation zone, storm surge is expected to be up to 10 feet for the Tampa Bay area. So that is unsurvivable amount of water if you are in that 6 to 10 foot of storm surge zone. So,
yeah, great point to make. If you are in that eye wall, the strongest winds as well, it's good to also, if you can, in the center part of your house, have a mattress or pillows around you as well to protect body parts, your head, in case the structure you're in is compromised.
yep.
Got another Twitter video to share here. Trying to figure out where this was, but it's another tornado video. I'm gonna probably butcher this pronunciation, but Loxahatchee. Go ahead and pull this up here. This is
Yeah, a lot of these.
From Ozzy Perez here, and we're gonna say Loxahatchee. Again, another tornado there moving through, another big one too. So not a good look there. This was as of 5:20 p.m. So about 27 minutes ago, this was posted here. So hopefully everybody's okay there. Looking back here on radar, this is your wind velocity map. We try to explain this as best as possible while covering Michigan severe weather, but the red colors indicate wind going away from the radar, and then green colors go toward the radar. And these winds here on the outer eye wall of Milton is where the strongest of winds is currently occurring. If we take our inspector tool here and go to this one strip and zoom way in, these are 120 to 130, perhaps a little bit higher in spots, mile per hour winds. We're going to call up to 140 mile per hour winds there in the northern flank of that eye wall as this pushes in towards St. Petersburg. This is easily category 2 strength still. We'll have an official update here at the 6 p.m. advisory that NHC issues. So we'll have an update here in terms of recon that planes drop measurements and tools into the hurricane to kind of measure wind speed and stuff like that. We'll have new data to go off of here soon. But overall, this eye wall is making a beeline as of right now for Sarasota. And is it Bradenton or Bradenton? I don't want to botch that.
I assume I've heard it before as Bradenton, but I could be wrong.
Okay. We'll call it Bradenton unless somebody in the comments suggests otherwise.
A lot of the towns and and such we're not familiar with, unfortunately, so we do apologize if we do mispronounce them. A lot of the more intricate words are Seminole Indian words from the Seminole tribes that are down there in Florida. So a lot of those are unique to them down there in Florida, just like we have unique words up here in Michigan from for our history as well.
And Caleb, if you see anything interesting on traffic cams, feel free to pull it in anytime.
Yep, we're keeping a close eye on those. Just kind of scouting around right now to see what's going on here across the region.
Yep, and I have Twitter pulled up here as well. So there is a large amount of debris fallout, which is when tornadoes occur, they loft debris in the atmosphere. And that debris is currently over the ocean. Go ahead and go back to radar here. Go to CC, switch the radar here to Palm Bay, and then go to CC. There is a large amount of debris fallout happening here along. That's a lot of debris. All that little blue correlation here is particles and stuff that should not be in the atmosphere. From these tornadoes that are affecting the eastern peninsula of Florida. Luckily, most of these are offshore. There appears to be perhaps one right here, perhaps just south of Fort Pierce. It's radar indicated. It may not be a tornado, but I would treat it as such. All these warnings here, the amount of tornadoes that we've gotten today across Florida would not surprise me if we have more on the ground. But luckily, the bulk of this is moving off onto the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Attention then comes back here to the eyewall, or to the outer eyewall, should I say, as it starts to make landfall fairly soon. This thing is really sped up here quite a lot.
Yeah, we knew there was a possibility that it could speed up a little bit if it started interacting again with that trough, the upper level trough. And as that eyewall does get closer to landfall, we would expect that extreme wind warnings would be issued for the counties, the Western Florida Panhandle, or Western Florida Peninsula, rather, counties around Tampa Bay, down to Sarasota, those counties, in probably the next, I'd say, hour or two here.
Yep. And draw your attention here. Here is the Skyway Bridge here going over Tampa Bay. As you can see here, winds have really picked up here. Look how choppy the water is down below the bridge. This is the very outer fringes of the eyewall of Milton now that are interacting with the bridge here on the north side of the eyewall. Really, the outer eyewall is stretching all the way down just north of Cape Coral, all the way to St. Petersburg is kind of where that outer edge of the eyewall is currently. We'll have to see how it interacts here with the trough and with land to see what wobbling that eyewall does. If it's going to go straight towards Bradenton, or is it going to go to Sarasota, or is it going to go to Tampa? Really, that's still yet to be figured out here, as there is still a couple hours left before that center of circulation moves over land. There is one important thing I'd like to note here, though. If you are south of the eyewall, areas south of the eyewall are in the most vulnerable position for storm surge. So that would include Cape Coral, areas north of there, for the highest potential of storm surge, all the way up to Sarasota, Bradenton, and including Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, you are not out of the woods yet, even though the eye is just a little bit south of you right now. Tampa Bay could still see an upwards of 12 feet of storm surge.
Yeah, and those winds on that camera you had pulled up there, we've already had gusts along the western shore of upwards of 70 miles per hour, if not a little bit higher in places as the eye wall starts to impact land here. So these winds are really, really cranking away here. I just connected the stream to Facebook as well. So we have an influx of new viewers here. So welcome, guys. This is not Michigan. So this is not coverage of Michigan. We are fine tonight. This is a highly, highly requested stream to cover Hurricane Milton's landfall. So we will be live here for 3, perhaps 4 or 5 hours, tracking this, showing you guys traffic cameras, pulling the information from Twitter. We're going to be here for a while. And if you want to hang out with us, feel free to hit the like button, kick back, try to relax. It's a serious situation, but we up here in Michigan are completely fine. This is strictly a Florida stream.
Yep, and Lynn asks a really good question. Storm surge, is that including wave heights? The answer is no. Wave heights are an additional 2 to 4 feet above storm surge. So if you have a 10-foot storm surge with 4-foot waves, water heights could reach 14 feet high. So keep that in mind. Storm surge is just water level. Waves is an additional 2 to 4 feet depending on the wave heights. So wave height is not included in the peak of the storm surge.
Getting some pictures in from the Fort Pierce area from at PHYDEWW. Go ahead and pull it up here just a minute. I'll get it on screen. This is tornadic damage, it appears, from the area. Go ahead and pull this in. There we go. And again, everybody who posts this to Twitter, this is all rights to them. We don't own the content, but this is some pictures coming in here from the Fort Pierce area, which was impacted likely by a very strong tornado earlier. In fact, we still have that image here. Go ahead and pull that up. I can get it. We have an image for those of you who are just tuning in with us of one of those tornadoes. It was very, very large. There you go. There you go. That's a giant wedge heading in toward the Vero Beach area about 15 to 20 minutes ago. That tornado has since moved onto the water, so no longer poses a threat. But still, we're probably close to 25 tornadoes today across southern Florida. Easily. So if you know people who live in southern Florida, definitely check in with them. Of course, I'm not sure how cell service is going to be and all that jazz. But if you have friends and family who are affected by the tornado outbreak today in southern Florida, just check in with them, make sure they're okay. We had, like I said, probably at least 20, 25 tornadoes across the area today. Outside of that, these green boxes here are all flash flood warnings in anticipation for the impacts of rain that have already fallen, but also will fall throughout the evening. So flood risk, a huge factor, even away from the lakeshore areas inland, the entire basically part of southern Florida, minus the very southern tip. All these green boxes here are all flash flood warnings. Even further north here, flash flood warnings are just, they're everywhere. So go ahead and pull up the reports page here. We keep an eye on this just to get an idea of how many reports we have of tornadoes today, which is updated in real time.
And this is a live look in Sarasota, Florida. You can really see the wind starting to pick up. Look at the palm trees there on the right side of the camera here. Just to the right of the stop sign, you can really see those palm fronds really start to blow in the wind here. And again, this is the very outer edge of the eyewall. We still have a lot of eyewall to go yet before this hurricane moves on shore. Still have a couple hours, or at least an hour before the inner eyewall starts to move on shore. But you can really see the conditions are really starting to deteriorate there in west central Florida.
I will go ahead and take back the radar, Caleb. We do have another area of concern on the eastern Florida coast near Cape Canaveral. We have some circulation, some rotation here heading right in toward Cape Canaveral. As we speak, this area is under a tornado warning. It is currently radar indicated, so we have not seen debris yet. Go ahead and flip on the debris tracker. Perhaps something there. We do see a little bit of a drop of correlation coefficient lining up fairly close with that velocity couplet. So perhaps a tornado on the ground just to the south of Cape Canaveral. And again, for those of you just tuning in, this is not Michigan coverage, so don't get confused. This is Florida coverage, highly requested by you guys to cover the landfall of Milton. So we're hopping on here covering Florida as this happens. We'll be here live for a few hours. I know I'm going to sound repetitive, but I don't want to freak people out who may just be tuning in thinking this is Michigan. It's not. We're completely fine up here. No severe weather for the foreseeable future. We actually might be done with it for the year. Cross your fingers for that. So this is strictly Florida. We're going to watch this area of rotation a little bit closely. And while we do that, I'm going to flip this over here. I got two radars rolling today. We got one on the east side. We have one on the west side over here watching the outer eyewall start to make landfall here. Those traffic cameras that Caleb is pulling up, they actually may go down as this gets closer with power outages and stuff like that happening. So we'll keep as many eyes as we can until we can't anymore. If you guys got questions, we'll pop in chat here occasionally to read some. Otherwise, moderators have control of chat here. We currently have 20 reports, not confirmed. These are just reports of tornadoes via the SPC report page, and that's across southern Florida. New scan coming in here. That's likely a tornado on the ground. Perhaps, Caleb, perhaps two starting to develop here. We have one south Angel City and one heading up into Cape Canaveral. Let's see if they change that to observed.
And yeah, I'm popping on traffic cams here, trying to see if I can see anything.
Okay. That very well could be observed. I think we have honestly a tornado on the ground. We have a little bit of a correlation coefficient drop right there, and it moves up here for the next scan following the rotation. So perhaps a brief, or at least at this point, weaker tornado that is on the ground just south of Cape Canaveral. It's super hard to tell, obviously, but perhaps something there.
Yeah, here's a video right on 520.
And that's facing north. Okay, so that'd be looking right at it then. And then it's completely rain wrapped if anything is there. It's very hard to see, but do we know what crossroad that is? Because 520 goes a ways.
It's 520 and State Road 519. Right there at the top of your camera screen there.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm stupid.
looking north.
Okay, I'm trying to find 519. I do not see it, though. But overall, this is in the heart of that warning, and more than likely, take back the radar here. We're going to track this here. It still says radar indicated, so maybe they don't see what we're seeing. Overall, this likely, I mean, it's a pretty good signature there via a storm relative as well. This is likely a tornado that's either developing or about to touch down here just to the south of Cape Canaveral, Florida. Again, we have quite a bit of time before the eyewall comes on shore, so that's why we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. But where these red and green colors are meeting, that is where the concern here for a possible tornado would be. And again, southwest of Cape Canaveral. And perhaps a secondary area of interest forming down here south of Angel City. We see the red and green here also starting to come together. Not as strong, but it's still there. I'm going to pop back on Twitter here and see if we have any new updates. We're going to keep it on the split screen of radar and velo. There we go. All right, 6 p.m. advisory should be out any minute, so we should have an update in terms of the latest data on Milton. We'll go ahead and share that once we get it pulled up if it's out. All right. Latest advisory data has been posted. Let's go ahead and read this. Sustained winds of about 60 miles per hour and a gust to 77 miles per hour was recently reported at the weather flow station in Egmont Channel. A sustained gust of 54 and a gust of 66 recently reported at the Albert Whitted Airport in St. Petersburg. The current sustained winds of Milton remain 120 miles per hour. It is moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. So 120 miles per hour still remains a Category 3 hurricane as this approaches land. So that's your advisory update. Category 3 remains. Central pressure 948. So it's still on a slight weakening trend here as it pushes into shore. Again, taking a zoomed out look here. Thank you, Summer, for becoming a member for 4 months. Appreciate that. Asking how Palm Bay is looking. Palm Bay. Now, you're going to forgive us. We're not quite familiar with where everything.
That'd be just south of where the tornado warning is now.
Yeah, Palm Bay for now is okay. And you should be fine for a while. I don't see anything imminent for you guys. You were under a tornado warning earlier for a little bit of time there. So if you have friends and family, check in on them. I don't think Palm Bay was directly impacted, though. So you should be good. Go ahead and take back a look at the eye wall heading onto shore. Again, the northern flank of this has the strongest winds. You see, this is your wind velocity here. It's moving up in towards St. Petersburg and Bradenton areas. We take a little bit of a look at that. We're going to see the wind sustained here still upwards of 130 or so miles per hour as this moves towards shore. Again, Category 3 remains, and a Category 3 is expected at landfall. So right now it's just determining where. And this is getting really close to making landfall here very soon. The eye there, pretty visible here on radar, and that's moving. We go ahead and zoom out here and animate that. It's moving pretty solidly as of right now, perhaps towards Sarasota and Englewood. But again, wobbling north-south, definitely possible here. It's just we're really starting to kind of narrow down as we close in closer to land. All right, let's pop up the comment sections here. Yeah, it is bonkers. It really is. This is one of the stronger hurricanes we've seen go from tropical storm to hurricane or Category 5 in a short amount of time. We haven't seen too many of those. This one rivals, I believe. What was the other one? Was it Irma? It wasn't Irma, was it? It rivaled one back in, I believe, 2005.
Wilma is
Wilma.
the one
That's the one. I was thinking Irma for some reason.
That one holds the record right now for the lowest barometric pressure in the Atlantic Basin, as well as I think the highest wind speed as well, at 215. I think it was.
Okay, I was close with the name, just wasn't spot on.
Don't quote me on the wind speed, but it is up there.
Thank you, Dana, for becoming a channel member. Appreciate your support of our channel. Welcome to the team, Dana. Also, thank you, Mark, for the $10 donation. I skipped you, saw it, but I didn't have time to get to it. Thank you for the time for doing this. No problem, Mark. Appreciate your support of our channel. As of right now, Sheena, we expect it to make landfall somewhere between Bradenton and Englewood, although wobbling is possible, so we can't lock that in just yet, but we're getting close. It should be around Sarasota somewhere. And again, peak storm surge is going to occur just to the east and a little bit south of the eye wall. So that's the eye right here. So it's going to be roughly about this area has the worst potential for storm surge at this point. But you will likely still see significant storm surge up here as well in St. Petersburg and Bradenton areas. Do we have the updated storm surge forecast here on the latest advisory? I'm going to pop that up.
Look for it here.
It's not updated as of it's 5 p.m. still. going to take a peek back here at Cape Canaveral. We did have a little bit of circulation there. It looks like it's perhaps moved closer to shore, and it's still there. It's still weak. Still radar indicated as well. I do not see much anything on debris tracker, so we perhaps had a brief spin up there. If it was, it's very, very short-lived, very, very weak south of Cape Canaveral. We'll see if that gets confirmed or not. Obviously, it's not Michigan, so we're not going to have updates about that, but I'm curious if they were to confirm that just based off that little bit of debris that's being lofted there, or perhaps debris being lofted. Thank you, Alyssa or Eliza. Sorry if I got it wrong, for becoming a channel member. I appreciate your support. Welcome to the team. Again, this eye is closing in on Florida, probably about 2 or 3 hours to go for official landfall, but this may go pretty quick. It's sped up here. It is interacting with some wind shear and some drier air, so it is weakening just slightly. Category 3 is expectation at landfall. Skylar, that is not a dumb question. So Skylar asks, is a hurricane essentially a giant tornado? So good question. So hurricanes are widespread and they're longer lived. Tornadoes are more locally violent in terms of damage, but overall the damage is comparable. Category 4, category 5 hurricanes can produce EF3, EF4, perhaps EF5 type of damage. So they are comparable, but they are different in their own respectable ways. Tornadoes can be more violent on a local basis. Hurricanes are equally violent across a larger area. Thank you, Axe, for becoming a channel member. Thank you. I'll check that out. Wow. I'm not sure if we have permission to post that, but it's off the F.dot cam. Not sure if that's available for use or not, but that is a large tornado crossing the highway there on the Florida cam. It's insane.
Which one?
I'll pull it up for you guys to see. How about that? Let's go ahead and pull it in here.
Is that the one earlier on 75?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay.
So give me a second to pop Twitter back out here. And thank you to Axe for tagging me in that. It's a little bit smaller, so pardon me for sharing this, but the screen is still visible here. You can still see the tornado itself. So go ahead and back this up. There we go. It's posted by Andrew on Twitter at WeathermanAAA. This is off the F.dot cam. So just like we have traffic cameras here in Michigan, we also have them here in Florida. And that is quite a large tornado crossing the highway there on the Florida cam.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Axe, for tagging me in that video.
Wow, really clear-cut mezzo there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Really, not something you see in Florida very often.
For sure.
All right, I'm going to try to...
Bear with us here as we look for new data to share with you guys. We're going to have a little bit of dead zones here, or should I say dead air, should I say. So just bear with us. We're trying to get information pushed out in a timely fashion. We're also making posts to the page when they need to be posted. So just bear with us.
Here's a live look at the Skyway Bridge here. This is north of St. Petersburg, looking north here. Visibility has really dropped here in the last 20 minutes or so, and you can see how choppy the water is and how violently the camera is shaking. This is the outer edge of the eye wall here, affecting this area here. And you can see here, you can actually see the banding. So your outer edge of the eye wall is now from Northport all the way to Bradenton to St. Petersburg, and then wrapping around the eye wall. And then there where that little red square is, that's your inner eye wall. That's where your maximum sustained winds are going to be within this hurricane. Winds of around between 120 and 130 miles per hour. That's going to be right in there on your inner eye wall from that red little square right there. That's where your most compact pressure gradients are, and that's where your strongest winds are. So they are just offshore of Sarasota right now.
Yeah, FDOT really does. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to pull up. Here's what it looks like in Sarasota right now. You can see the stoplights shaking violently there as the winds are picking up there. Look at the palm trees there on the right side of your screen. You can see them swaying in the wind, and the palm fronds blowing in the wind as well. There might be a street sign or a construction sign blown over there on the far right side of your screen there in the median, but conditions are definitely starting to deteriorate.
Again, this is going to continue to increase as far as wind as we get closer and closer to landfall. But I do believe, do we have any cameras out of Tampa and St. Petersburg? Because that looks like it's going to get perhaps the worst of the wind. You got Caleb and his FDOT cameras pulled up there. So we got tons of cameras. Look at them all.
Just a matter of if they load or not.
We do have some spammers here in chat that are dropping links for Cash App to support the victims of Hurricane Milton. That is a scam. Do not do it. There are official ways you can help donate. We're not one of them. And nobody in chat is going to ask you. If anybody in chat asks you for money, don't do it. Seems like there's some money grabs going on here. So that's unfortunate. But
yeah.
We do, however, have moderators in here with wrenches by their name on YouTube. They are dropping links to our merchandise, our website, stuff like that to help support us. Again, that's completely optional. We're not going to plug much of our stuff tonight, but the mods will do that in chat for us. We're going to try and keep this on topic tonight with Hurricane Milton. That is cranking out there, Caleb.
Yeah, this is on the Dick Misner Bridge. This is on the south side of Tampa here. Right in St. Petersburg there, overlooking the bay. Wow, yeah, visibility has decreased dramatically since I last pulled up this camera. Yeah, look at the violent motion of the camera as well. Winds are definitely starting to crank.
I believe they're going to have an advisory update at 7 p.m. as well. So next update on Milton will come at 7 p.m.
Kind of losing that camera feed there.
Also, the something to mention here is, I think Reed just ended up tweeting this as well. I just noticed this myself, but we do have perhaps birds in the eye wall still showing up on radar here. These little specks here that have been showing up and kind of, moving with the eye, that's likely a flock of birds in the middle of the eye of the hurricane there. I don't believe that's precipitation. It could be, but likely more so birds there as this moves ashore. So,
yeah, Milton has had reports of birds in its eye ever since it was in the western Gulf of Mexico as well, indicated by the hurricane hunters and satellite as well. What's interesting to see, though, there on the top north quadrant of that eye wall, it's almost like a little mesovortice there, pretty much right where the hurricane emblem is. You can kind of see it there on the very innermost part of the inner eye wall there. Just another interesting note there.
You're talking like this or here?
Right in there. Mm-hmm.
And what are mesovortices for those people watching who may not know what a mesovort is.
So mesovortices are little areas of rotation within the innermost of the part of the eyewall, almost like kinks in a hose. And what those do is they can increase the wind speed. They're almost like mini tornadoes, is a good way to think about it, that revolve around the eyewall. And these mesovortices can briefly increase the wind significantly as they come ashore as well. They're basically like embedded supercells within the innermost part of the eyewall, is really what they are. There's a lot of turbulent motion there, a lot of vorticity there at the very most inner part of the eyewall. There's a lot of turning. So
I'm going to pull up something else here I'm noticing on Twitter, or just pulled up on Twitter, should I say, more damage from the Fort Pierce area. This is from Christopher on X at MoloCH Official. It has a picture here sent in from his parents, apparently. He posted on Twitter. Got some roofs missing, some plywood there, perhaps missing a roof completely. Again, that's out of Fort Pierce. One thing to mention here as well with this hurricane is the flood potential, storm surge as well. But out here north of Tampa, this is a ton of rain that's happening at a very slow rate. So flash flooding, definitely a possibility here across much of central and northern Florida, and even southern Florida as well, as this moves on the shore further. All those green boxes you see on my screen are indicating flash flood warnings. That's a pretty good chunk of the state of Florida underneath a flash flood warning, and all this rain here moving ashore definitely poses a risk for flooding on top of the storm surge already expected for the coastal areas. Report of the St. Lucie County, Florida Sheriff's Office was hit by the tornado. There's actually a video of this, which I will not show. I'm going to try to opt not to show videos because those can be licensed. So we're not going to show people's footage without their permission. But pictures are mostly okay. But there's a video on Twitter of the Sheriff's Office in St. Lucie County that got hit by this earlier tornado. If you want to see it, it's on Twitter/X. The person who posted is at number 4, Bill Lewis. Okay, Axe, I'll check it out here in a second. I have a lot of notifications coming on my phone right now, so bear with me. I have like 300 just sitting here.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I have not looked at my phone in a little bit.
Trying to see what other camera options we have here to get another view or vantage look. Here is a live look at Laurel, Florida, just south of Sarasota. You can see the palms in the median there, really moving in the wind here. You can see the look at the light pole there in the median, just behind the "Do Not Enter" sign there. You can really see that wobble in the wind there. Even the one there in the median, further down by that taller palm tree, you can really see it start to bounce there as these stronger winds are starting to come ashore, and will continue to get stronger as this inner eye wall begins to move onshore. Again, it is just offshore, just basically due west of Sarasota and Laurel and North Point. is where that inner eyewall is. Right now, it still looks like it is moving northeast at this time, east-northeast. The center of circulation is going to go very close to Bradenton and Sarasota at its current trajectory. That could go a little bit north or south of there, but right now it's going to come very close to that part of Florida.
I had to imagine we're probably within 2 or so hours of landfall, if not sooner. This thing is making pretty good progress.
Yeah, it really is. Definitely faster than what was being depicted last night.
And again, this is the current depiction on radar of Hurricane Milton. In fact, we'll go ahead and take a screenshot of this, get this up on the page. So go ahead and get this posted. I know a lot of you guys would like to know what it looks like, where it's headed. So we're going to get an update post here. I'm going to coordinate with Alex here in a second. Let's see if he's going to post or not. Okay, he's got a post going out, so we'll get a radar picture closer to landfall to post for you guys. But overall, this is moving, as Caleb said, pretty close to Sarasota. The eye of it's only a few miles offshore at this point. Let's go ahead and track this. The eye of the hurricane's about 40 or so miles from the shore at this point to the center of it. So it's getting close. Moving about 15 to 20 miles per hour puts it roughly, we're going to say about 2.5 hours or so, 2.5, 3 hours.
I'm going to take back the camera here on the Skyway Bridge over Tampa Bay. Visibility is continuing to get worse, and the wave heights are significantly larger as well as this camera on your screen now. And this is all thanks to that northernmost edge of the eyewall getting very, very close to Sarasota, Bradenton, and getting close to the Bay region. So you can really see the rain curtains there blowing across your screen. There's a reason they close bridges during hurricane events. You would not want to be on there right now. Trying to figure out what is going on with the screen here. As we go back to Sarasota here, this is a camera on Siesta Key. The eyewall is just offshore of that area there. Not a lot of rain here right now. We're kind of in between rain bands here as we speak. But you'll start to see the winds really start to increase as that innermost eyewall begins to flirt with the shoreline. You'll definitely see those winds really start to increase. And I do expect power outages to begin showing up here as that center of the eye does start to make landfall. And as we pull radar back up here, let's see here. So this band right over here is what had all the tornado warnings on it earlier, including the one that was really close to Palm Bay and areas south. All those supercells have moved offshore now. Actually, Ryan, I do not see an active tornado warning in the state of Florida at this time.
Nope.
Currently, there are no active tornado warnings in the state of Florida. That initial outer band of supercells has moved off the shore. If we moved up here close to Titusville, let's have a look here at velocities here and see what is, how are these looking here as they finish moving offshore. Yeah, there you go. Likely a really strong water spout here. And this is several miles offshore of Melbourne there. You can see a really tight circulation there. But again, these are all offshore and do not pose a threat to land at this time. As we move a little bit north towards Orlando, not really seeing anything in terms of rotation at this time. But again, tropical tornadoes can spin up very quickly and often without warning. But right now, there are no active tornado warnings currently in the state of Florida, which is good news. However, we are getting very close to landfall now. As the hurricane is just the center of the hurricane is just a few miles offshore. Pull this back up here. Give it
We
a
can animate that too.
few
If
seconds.
you want to take the last couple of frames here and run this as a loop to kind of get an idea of the wobbles and such, let it load in here. See if we can pinpoint anything that we're seeing here on a longer loop. Let's go back a few other frames here. Let's go back 250 and load that in. There we go. It's going to take a minute to load in. There we go. So there is the entire life cycle of Hurricane Milton here as it gets close to the shore. This is the past several hours. This is back toward noon today. And it's kind of started making a beeline here. More so towards. Look at that. Look at that shift from north to east.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Like it hit the wind shear. It seemed like it just darted to the east.
And it could be interacting with that upper level trough to the north too. That's really your upper level steering mechanism that's in place right now, that cold front that's draped across the lower half of the country. And that's responsible for cooler temperatures up here in Michigan as well. That's the reason we had a lot of frost last couple nights. And that cold front, as it's progressing southeast, is going to steer Milton across Florida and then eventually out in the Atlantic Ocean away from the U.S. coastline. So
I will say, I think we're going to narrow this down to pretty much near Sarasota for landfall of this thing. It's going to be It's going to be right, if not very close to Sarasota. I think we can pretty much confidently say that now. In fact, Alex went ahead and posted about 30 seconds ago. Basically from, he thinks, Bradenton down to about the Northport neighborhood. So that's going to be right about there. So landfall between here and about here. So roughly Sarasota is where things about the landfall. So for those of you who don't know, we have, not we, but the National Hurricane Center, they do have air or recon aircraft that fly through the hurricane. They drop instruments that measure wind speed, pressure, and such like that. So that's how we know how strong it is. So with tornadoes, so to speak, we can measure it based on the damage it causes. With hurricanes, though, we actually have physical measurements that help us know how strong these winds are as it occurs. So we're going to know how strong this is as it comes on land here. Again, the eye of the hurricane still about 30, I'm going to say about 37 miles out of shore from right now. About 36 miles offshore. The planes are named. That's a great question, or a good point there. I can't talk. The planes that fly in to drop those instruments, I know one's called Miss Piggy. I forgot the entire names of them, but there's a whole fleet of those. I'm not going to say your name, but thank you, ND, for becoming a channel member. Appreciate your support. I know that can be offensive to some people, so I'm not going to say that. But thank you for becoming a channel member. Yes, hurricanes usually do produce some form of tornadoes. It's very, very common with these systems. It's not unheard of by any means.
And Christina asks, "How large is the eye right now?" Let's take a measurement and we'll find out.
about 27 miles across. All directions, about 27 miles or so. So not very big.
Mm-mm.
Looks like the bulk of the winds now are heading in toward St. Petersburg and Bradenton. Again, these winds are upwards of 100 to 120 miles per hour along these brighter, should I say dark or red colors here.
Oh, I'm going to pull up a camera here. This is on Siesta Key, just outside Sarasota. Well, hang on. I will get it pulled up here.
Got the wrong tab.
There we go. There's actually some debris starting to show up here in the roadway. Maybe some material has blown off something. You can see it there in the grass. There across the road there. Not really sure what it is, but
I'd say perhaps some fencing, some white fencing.
Maybe some vinyl of some kind.
And if you look at the camera the light is sitting on, or the pole directly off, looking at the left side of your screen there, that thing is just bobbing away.
Yeah, it is.
And
again, Siesta Key is out in the water a little bit, offshore from Sarasota. This is the closest camera that I have to the eyewall itself.
You may have frozen there. I'm going to take back my radar while he gets. You froze, Caleb. Looks like your camera froze too. I'm not sure if it's. Okay. He's having some connection issues. So, anyway, this is about, I'm going to estimate about 2 hours away from landfall, right around 9 o'clock or so, give or take an hour, is what we're kind of expecting for in terms of time. And again, category 3 is the expectation. We'll have another update at 7 p.m. from the Hurricane Center. And it gives us an update on how strong this is. It has been on a slow weakening trend, but if you guys recall, just 2 days ago, or actually just yesterday, category 5 Hurricane Milton did exist out in the Gulf of Mexico. And this was one of the more rapidly strengthening hurricanes of the past 20 or so, 25 years. This went from tropical storm to category 5 in a very short amount of time, a very rapid intensification due to the warm lake waters, or ocean waters now, not lake, but ocean waters, as well as very low wind shear in the Gulf. Pop out some comments here. Yes, those lights are super heavy, so it takes quite a bit to get those things rocking, probably close to 60 miles per hour there sustained. Perhaps 50 or 60, and that'll only increase as this eyewall closes in very close to the Sarasota area. Got Caleb back with us now. What's up, Caleb?
Hey, sorry about that.
It's all good. Are you good if I go take a short break to grab some food?
Yeah, should be good here. If I disappear, I'm sorry. Our internet is fluctuating here at home base tonight. In the evenings, a lot of people are on it, so I apologize about that.
I'll be here in the background. I'll just mute myself. But if you go off, I'll just start talking.
Yeah, no worries. All right, and we're going to go back to was an extreme warning issued? Let me. Don't see that on radar yet. So right now the hurricane is a few miles offshore. That inner eye wall is starting to approach shore. We do think the center of the eye is going to go very close to Sarasota and Bradenton there, Longboat Key, those areas there. Right now the center of the eye wall is going to go south of Tampa Bay, which is good news for worst case scenario for storm surge for Tampa Bay. If that eye wall were to go on the north side of Tampa Bay would have seen an excess of 12 to 15 foot of storm surge. However, being on the northern side of the eye wall, it'll be much less up there. So that is good news up there. However, from Sarasota, Inglewood, just north of Cape Coral, That is where the worst of the storm surge will be, and that will be up to 10 to 12 foot of storm surge. And again, that is above normally dry ground, is where that is. And yep, an extreme wind warning has been issued. Let me try to get that pulled up here for you. And what that means is that is issued only for extreme winds. And that is get that. Trying to get that pulled up here for you guys. Yeah, and that has been issued for Manatee County as well. That is including the Tampa area, as this outer eyewall is approaching landfall. That does include Tampa Bay, Sarasota, Bennington, Palm Harbor, just to the north of Sarasota. Matter of fact, here we will. Bear with me here, guys. Trying to get this to pull up here. There are your velocities there on radar. You can see the center of your eye is starting to move on shore here. It's going to get very close to shore within the next hour or so. To give you an idea of what it looks like on the Skyway Bridge, I'm going to show you what the camera looks like right now. No, that camera is not out of service. That is what you see right now. That is how intense this outer band of this hurricane is. You can briefly see the waves and the whitecaps there crashing against the bridge on the bottom right side of your screen. But right now the wind is howling there over the Skyway Bridge on this outer edge of the eyewall. Very, very intense winds there. As we go on the other side of the bridge here, let's take a look at Terra Verde here. This is just to the southwest of Tampa Bay. Maybe. Some of the cameras are having a hard time loading here. No surprise getting that feed loss there as they are in the outer edge of the eyewall. There you go. You can see winds really starting to pick up there. And this is southwest of Tampa in the outer edge of the eyewall. You can see the winds bucking the camera there, and the palm fronds really starting to blow there. Ryan, do you have anything to add there on that? I think he's muted.
Got my food. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'm going to try and get this eaten here pretty soon.
Nope, you're good. We're going to go back to radar here. Get that pulled up here. And here we are here. Look at your velocities there just offshore of St. Petersburg there. That is your most intense part of this hurricane, is in that eye wall right now, where all that rain is mixing a lot of that stronger wind down to the ground here. Very, very strong returns there. And again, that is why that extreme wind warning has been issued now, including Tampa, Sarasota, Bradenton, just north of the Sarasota area, as the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service do think the strongest winds are going to go right now just north of Sarasota. They're in that outer eyewall band there. You can see the bright brown reflectivity there on the north side of the eye. Right in here. This is where your strongest winds are right now in this hurricane.
That box I just drew there is the box for the extreme wind warning.
And again, extreme wind warning, that criteria has to be wind sustained at 115 miles an hour or greater, or 100 knots or greater, within 1 hour sustained. So we're going to expect winds in excess of 115 miles here over the next hour in those areas within the warning. And that does include the Tampa Bay region, St. Petersburg, areas just north of Sarasota are included in that extreme wind warning. And if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We will try to answer them as we get to them here. And again, nothing is happening in the state of Michigan tonight. We are doing this for you guys per request. I know a lot of people have family and friends that live in Florida, and for that reason, we are going live tonight to cover the landfall of Hurricane Milton. Right now, it is a Category 3 hurricane, and it is expected to make landfall within the next hour or two. And I'm going to get this pulled back up here. This is just southwest of Tampa, here in the extreme wind warning. We do expect the stronger winds to really ramp up here within the next half an hour or so as that outer eyewall continues to progress into town. Winds in excess of 115 miles per hour are expected over the next hour or so. And that extreme wind warning does go on for the next 2 hours and 43 minutes. So it's a long duration event. Kind of losing feed on the camera here. As expected, this camera is in the heart of that outer eyewall, so sometimes connectivity to that camera, the feed can be lost as expected. Let's see if we can find another one here. Let's see. Probably not going to see much there. Let's go here. Let's go to the Delago Memorial Bridge here. You can really see the winds really starting to ramp up here. And I'm not sure if that almost looks like a vehicle there on the bridge parked.
Oh, that's for sure a vehicle.
I'm not sure if that's a chaser or that could even be a stalled vehicle that ran out of gas on someone trying to get out too. I don't know. I hope no one's in there. Very, very dangerous place to be.
They shouldn't even be allowed to get on that bridge.
Yeah, all bridges are closed right now per the hurricane. So there's a bird trying to fly there on the left-hand side of your screen. But again, this is included in that extreme wind warning. 115 miles per hour winds or greater is expected with over the next 2 hours and 43 minutes within the warning. And that does include the Tampa Bay region and areas just to the north of Sarasota. Again, the outer eyewall is starting to come on shore now. So conditions are going to continue to deteriorate for Sarasota and Tampa Bay. Yeah, that wind is just howling across the bridge there. You can see the rain curtains moving from left to right. As these rain bands come, sometimes you get a burst of wind with those bands, and they can be quite significant. As we move around, let's actually go inside St. Petersburg to take a look here to see what is going on inside town here. We'll try to get this camera pulled up here if the feed will come through. This is a little bit further inland here, but the still included in the high extreme wind warning. So 115 mile per hour winds are expected inland as well. Might not be able to get that camera feed pulled up here. Can't really see much there, but this is on the north side of the bridge there. Let's go back to the Skyway Bridge here to take a look here to see. Tammy, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. We appreciate that.
I was muted. I was talking and for some reason was muted. Didn't notice that. Thank you, Tammy.
Might not be able to get that one to pull up right now either.
Yeah, that's kind of expected though. As we get these winds, start cranking, we're going to lose power, and that's going to cut our feeds off here. So,
yep. Right now we're looking south on the Skyway Bridge, just on the south side of St. Petersburg here. You can see the white caps underneath and the rain curtains blowing across the bridge here. We do expect conditions to deteriorate. Let's go back to the south here and to St. Petersburg, to Siesta Key here to see how we're looking down there. Oh, there we go. Stoplights are flashing now there. Wind has really picked up there. Somebody out driving around. And we are right between bands here. The outer eyewall has passed, and the inner eyewall is right on the doorstep of Sarasota. Getting very, very close to shore here between Inglewood, Laurel, Sarasota, and Bradenton right now for that innermost part of the eyewall. You can see how violently the stoplights are shaking and galloping there as the wind bounces them up and down.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
That purple box up there is where the extreme wind warning is in effect. The text of that, if I can pull it up. Maybe I can't pull it up. All right, let's try to go up here. The text of this extreme wind warning reads, Manatee, Pinellas, and Hillsborough County until 9:30 p.m. says an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation is in effect here until 9:30. Doesn't say for what winds, just as extreme winds associated with the eye wall of Hurricane Milton. It doesn't say how strong of winds are expected. It just says it's a life-threatening situation, and to take heed with that. A new tornado warning has been issued up here on the eastern coast of Florida. Oh, yeah, look at that. Nice little hook there heading into Wilson. Does not appear to be on the ground, but that is definitely a concerning look there with that little bit of a hook. Went away in the last scan. But definitely concerning look there heading up into the Oak Hill, Scottsmore, Orentia. Looks like it's going to be mainly to the east of any land. It's probably going to impact this area, Allenhurst, Dummett Grove, Shiloh. That's going to be radar indicated, expires in 22 minutes. The county underneath that tornado warning is Brevard. I don't know. I'm going to butcher some of these. But just to the east of Titusville.
I'm going to pull this up here. This is on the north side of the Skyway Bridge. Could be some storm surge starting to come in there on the highway. I cannot get the live camera feed, but this is a steel frame camera that was taken just a few minutes ago. Almost appeared to be water over the highway there.
Looks Looks like
It's
it.
just right under the street sign there. So not a good situation there. Again, back to that tornado warning there.
New scan coming in here. A bit of rotation still continues. It's weak, not overly concerning. Still, it's enough to warrant some attention, hence the tornado warning. And the center of rotation is there just to the east of Titusville, a bit north and east of Titusville. This is tracking more so to the north and more so east, honestly. So this is moving from Wilson over here toward Mims and Titusville, Arantia and Scottsmore. Southmere, Mims, Titusville, Whispering Hills, Golf Estates. JJ is also there. Looks like it's tracking right along Beach Road and 406. Broward, thank you. I should have known that. Broward County. Thank you, Michelle. We'll come back to that. Going back over here to the eye. That is, go ahead and measure this now. It's likely probably 30 miles or so offshore. Yeah, we're getting close. We're 30 miles now from shore. So we're getting ever so closer to landfall. And we're about to have an update from the National Hurricane Center in about 4 or so minutes. Top of the hour, we're going to have an updated set of data to go over with you guys. As of 6 o'clock, it was a Category 3 hurricane with winds upwards of 120 miles per hour, and that is about to make landfall near Sarasota, Florida. No problem, Tommy. Glad we could help you guys out. This was highly requested to do this type of stream, and that's what we wanted to do for you guys. So here we are. And again, just tuning in with us or just watching us, there is nothing here for Michigan. We are a long way from Michigan. Michigan's way up here, unaffected by any of Hurricane Milton. This is just a coverage stream, watching this as it comes on shore. We may do this more often as well in the future. So if you like this content, feel free to let us know. Be sure to hit the like button if you do. Looks like it's making a pretty good beeline right now for the Venice area.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps just a slight north wobble going on. So I'm going to say landfall probably somewhere between Sarasota and Venice, right about here is where we're looking right now.
Yeah, I'm going to pull you up an image. This is Clearwater, Florida, just to the west of Tampa. You can see here they have the highway closed here, State Road 60, due to water now coming over the highway. Maybe it looks like maybe some National Guard trucks there as well.
That's not surprising as at all. We have a lot of roads blocked off there along the lakeshore. I keep saying lake. I'm used to saying lakeshore because I'm Michigan, but this is the ocean.
This is ocean here.
Yeah, so forgive me if I say lakeshore.
Yeah, and that is actually right on Old Tampa Bay here. So some seawater is starting to push into the bay. And as we move back down here to, let's go back to Siesta Key, because that inner eyewall is getting very, very close to town here. Yeah, things are still galloping quite a bit there.
Let's see if I can't find anything on Twitter about storm surge that's going on, because we should be getting pretty close to getting underway with that whole
Now
scenario.
you can see the fence over there really starting to take a hit and a beating over there. You can see the doors really starting to sway. The camera's shaking violently too. And again, that inner eye wall is just offshore of Sarasota and Bradenton, just right offshore. And it is still a pretty tight eye wall. That remains just offshore. As we go back north here a little bit, again, some of these cameras may not be able to get us their live feed right now just because of the yeah, there you go. So this is a look at the Skyway Bridge here looking north towards Tampa. Again, this is just north of St. Petersburg and or sorry, just south of St. Petersburg, just north of Bradenton, looking north towards St. Petersburg. You can really see how choppy the water is there, and the camera shaking violently there as well.
I'll go ahead and pull up my my radar here again. It's pronounced Bradenton or Bradenton, Caleb. It's not Bradenton.
Okay.
See the comments in chat here. Got a message also. So thank you guys. We're not gonna get these right 100% of the time, especially if it's out of state. So
Definitely not a local down there.
yeah. All right. So the eye is making a beeline toward Venice and Sarasota. I'm looking for any storm surge reports coming in. We have one from a veteran chaser, Aaron J. Jack, on Twitter, saying storm surge is starting to spill into the historic downtown district of Punta Gorda, Florida. That was a tweet 10 minutes ago.
That is to the south. That's down towards the Cape Coral area.
See if we can't find that somewhere. Again, we're not familiar with the topography here. I don't see it. I feel like it'd be somewhere like right around here somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. But that's as of 10 minutes ago.
It's right on the bay there, Brian.
What is it?
See if we can.
Oh, okay, there it is. I got it. So, yep, storm surge is starting there. So we're starting to get the initial surge as expected. So we'll keep an eye on that. Major storm surge now, as of a half hour ago, moving into Fort Myers. Wow. I won't share that publicly. I'll send it to you, Caleb. Looks like Fort Myers Beach is getting some pretty significant storm surge. The reason we can't show a lot of this stuff is because it's copywritten or not for broadcast. So unfortunately, we can't share everything we see. So if you guys have Twitter/X, we may be able to retweet some on our account here for you guys to see.
And again, the reason those areas are getting storm surge first is that they are on the south side of the eye wall. So they have all that onshore flow getting pushed towards shore, and all that seawater with it is getting pushed inland. So a lot of dry ground is again getting inundated with seawater. And storm surge is, again, water above normally dry ground, and that does not include wave height. So if you have 8 to 10 feet of storm surge, water could potentially reach, upwards of a couple feet of that when you get waves on top of that, not to mention the debris in the water as well. So storm surge is very, very dangerous and unsurvivable in some cases.
Yeah, think about 10 feet of water just rushing in. It's not like a tsunami, but it'll gradually get higher and higher as that surge continues to push inland. But you can't stand in 10 to 15 feet of water. And your house is only so tall. 1-story houses are right at that 10 to 15 foot mark. So that's why we have evacuation zones in place. I'm trying to find some storm surge footage here. It looks like a lot of this is stolen footage on Twitter. I'm not going to retweet unless it's from a veteran chaser that I know. I don't want to retweet stolen content.
Yeah, but unfortunately with this event and with big events, that happens quite a bit.
I retweeted one so far from Aaron J. Jack from Punta Gorda. I'm looking here. Here's a tweet from NWS Miami saying that 55 tornado warnings have been issued today by solely NWS Miami. 98 have been issued today by Tampa Bay, Melbourne, and Miami combined. So
Wow.
98 tornado warnings today across what would equivalent probably to the south central part of Michigan, perhaps. Would that be a good comparison?
Yeah, pretty close to that, which is a crazy, insane number.
So think about 98 tornado warnings, separate tornado warnings that got issued from, we'll say, from Detroit to, or we'll say Flint to Grand Rapids and south, in that corridor.
Yeah, and a large majority of those were tornado confirmed as well.
Right. So that's a pretty significant event when you think about the size comparison between here. That's insane. We are closing so close. The first initial outer band is closing on Sarasota. Do you have a camera there, Caleb, out of Sarasota we can look at?
Yeah, let me get back down there here.
Really close to.
The furthest out camera I have is on Siesta Key. That is where that stoplight was flashing here. Let me see if I can get it to pull up here, if it's going to load. Cameras are starting to have difficulty loading now. See if it's going to pull up here. Trying to get it for you here. These live cams are not working right now.
Between the power outages that are about to impact and also the amount of people that are looking at this site, it's going to...
No live cam feed at this time is pulling up on the cameras in Sarasota.
Okay.
If I get it back, I will share that on the screen. But right now we have lost the live feed in Sarasota, and that could be a number of things, from the wind bouncing the camera to power outages, etc.
Take a look at the wind speeds here on the velocity. So this is just insane. Here is the radar site out of the Gulf City area in Florida. This circular little beam right here, that's your radar site. So the winds here are very, very close to the ground, and we're getting winds upwards of 80 or so miles per hour. Let's go ahead and do an inspector tool of this. This is 70, it's about 70 or so, 70 to 80 miles per hour, roughly about a few hundred feet off the ground. In fact, let me go ahead and get an accurate measurement for you guys. This is only 400 feet off the ground. So that is extremely strong winds moving in over a widespread area. This is like, think of like a derecho coming through Michigan. This is what it's like basically, but it's more long duration as well. You have wind, you have storm surge on top of it. Hurricanes are not something to mess around with. This is definitely a large area of wind pushing into St. Petersburg and Bradenton here as of 7:08 p.m., which is current time. So if you're not watching at 7:08 p.m., you need to skip forward to current time. I know sometimes with YouTube ads and such, you can get behind. So I'm just going to usually remind people of the times. 7:08 p.m. is current time in Eastern. So if you're not synced up with us, refresh the video. I'd like to thank you. Got about 1,000 people on watching us. This is highly requested from you guys. So appreciate you guys hopping on and hanging out with us. It's more of a trying to be more relaxed tonight. But again, this is a serious situation. We want to communicate. If there happens to be people watching from the area themselves, we want to keep you guys as informed as possible. So we're
okay, Ryan, I have a feed. This is on the north side of Sarasota, close to the bay. Look at the amount of storm surge here starting to come into the town here.
Wow.
This is
Well,
on
leave
the
that up here
north
for a minute.
side of Sarasota, actually really close to the, I don't want to butcher the name again.
Bradenton?
Yep, that one, Bradenton. This is on the north side of Bradenton here, looking towards the bay. This is what storm surge looks like. This is seawater, by the way. This is not fresh water. This is brackish or seawater coming in from out of the bay.
And that looks to be more so about perhaps 2 feet or so. So that's not even much in the way of storm surge at all. And
no, I'm kind of looking
minor.
at, I don't know how far inland this is either compared to the bay, but I'm kind of looking at that pickup truck there, the garage door as well.
Yeah, that poor truck is gone.
Yeah, seawater and vehicles do not mix well at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd say about 2 or 3 feet there for sure.
Okay, this is where it was at. It was right here near Philippi Creek is where that camera is. So that is actually in St. Petersburg.
Gotcha.
Let's see if I can get that camera's not loading there either right now. Nope. A lot of the cameras are having a really difficult time starting to load their feed as expected as this hurricane is starting to make landfall. Probably here within the next hour or so. It'll be making landfall.
7 p.m. advisory update continues. Category 3 hurricane. Pressure is now up to 952. Winds of 120 miles per hour. So this has not weakened over the course of the past 3 hours. It's about to make landfall and will likely make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. We are about an hour or so, an hour and a half away from official landfall. Now, Caleb, is the official landfall when the eye first reaches land, or is it the center of the eye?
It is the center of the eye. That is what the National Hurricane Center declares as a official landfall, is when the center of that circulation is fully over land, is when the National Hurricane Center will tag that as a landfall. So we have a little bit yet to go yet, but when the center of the eye crosses over land, that is when we have landfall.
And storm surge happens before landfall, and the worst of the winds, though, is as this moves on to shore.
Yep.
Go ahead and zoom out here and take a little bit of a zoomed out look here of the entirety of Hurricane Milton. Category 3 hurricane continues at 120 miles per hour of sustained winds. Landfall is expected here shortly near Sarasota and Venice. I see a couple people asking about Northern Lights chances tonight. Tonight, there's not much of any chance here in Michigan. Tomorrow night, let's talk tomorrow morning about that. I wanted to have an update out tonight, but it's probably not going to happen. So expect an update first thing tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I put tonight's chances, I put them at the very low category. Never want to say impossible because weirder things have happened, but we're not seeing it right now. Yeah, so the radar presentation here, basically the hurricane is a center of low pressure, and that center is right here where there's very little in the way of precipitation. Everything then rotates around that low pressure system. You can also think of it this way as well. a lot of our severe weather here in Michigan happens via low pressure systems. It's kind of like this, where we have a center of low pressure that kind of it can create lift. It's windy. It can create a lot of different things here. This is just a major low pressure system. For comparison, our low pressure systems are 990, sometimes 1,000 millibars. This one got down to 898 millibars. That's how strong these things are. The current measurement is right around 950, so it's still quite stronger than what we see here for our severe weather during summertime. But we will get more deeper low pressures as we get further into fall and eventually winter. So keep an eye out for those, or winter storms, stuff like that. We can get these really deep low pressure systems that produce a lot of snowfall for us. So keep an eye on that.
Yep, and I will take you back to Siesta Key, just near Sarasota, where the inner eyewall is starting to come ashore there. You can really see the trees really start to blow and bend there in the background. It is starting to get dark here. We are losing the daylight hours here as Hurricane Milton is coming ashore. So we'll lose some visibility here as the eyewall comes ashore, as we start losing daylight hours. Right now, the inner eyewall is just offshore, starting to brush the coastline between Laurel, Osprey, Sarasota, and Bradenton. That high wind warning is still in effect for the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Bradenton, and just areas just north of Sarasota. And again, that criteria is 100 knots or 115 miles per hour or greater. In that, high wind warning is still in effect for another 2 hours and 13 minutes. So we do have a ways to go with this event. There's a power flash there. See that in the background? If you guys saw that blue flash that looked like lightning, that was not lightning. That was a transformer blowing there in the background.
I missed it.
That is what that blue turquoise glow was. That is electrical arcing or transformers blowing, what we call power flash.
It's also
pretty
in the
common
dark time.
In high wind events.
During
There's
the
another one
nighttime,
there.
during the nighttime, that's how we know if there is a tornado on the ground. We can look at power.
Yep.
The other one, there we go. Look at those top right of your screen there. Those are power flashes, as Caleb just mentioned. That's kind of how we know if there's a tornado on the ground when we're chasing at night, because they'll take out power lines, transformers, etc. They'll light the sky up. Much different than lightning would. Oh, wow.
That was close.
Wow.
That was just up the street. But again, in this case, it is not a tornado that's on the ground that is causing these power flashes. It's just the intense winds of the inner eyewall is causing a lot of the power lines to gallop. And what that happens is sometimes transformers can become loose. They can blow. The insulators can break or fall off. Lines can touch. There's another power flash there.
Oh, goodness.
And that is what you're seeing here.
Wow. What a shot this is.
And this is, again, this is on Siesta Key, just offshore of Sarasota, as the inner eyewall is approaching land. The inner eyewall is coming ashore, so the strongest winds of this hurricane are beginning to move onshore now with Hurricane Milton. Right now it is a 120 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane as it moves ashore.
I am shocked, Caleb, that this stoplight still has power with all these power flashes happening around.
I was thinking the same thing.
This camera is about to go, guys. I don't want to say it, but we're gonna lose this camera here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Another one there. That's insanity.
Yeah, I want to take your attention. I don't know if you can see it. The large power pole, the tallest one there on the top right of your screen, look at the palm tree just below it on the left-hand side. Look how the top of it is completely blown over and the palm fronds are just completely pushed to the north. That's just an indication of the very strong winds that are now coming ashore as we're seeing these power flashes now. And somehow this traffic light still has power.
I don't know how, man.
I don't know how, but we'll keep this camera up until we lose it here, which that could be a few seconds. That could be a few minutes. I don't know. You can see the stoplights there bouncing as they get affected by these wind gusts here. Very, very strong winds now coming ashore.
It's only a matter of time before this camera goes, man.
Yeah, this camera is on borrowed time right now. And again, those of you just joining in, this is Siesta Key, just offshore from Sarasota. The inner eye wall is moving ashore as we speak right now. The strongest winds are just offshore, getting ready to come onshore. The extreme wind warning is still in effect for areas just to the north of this light here, of this camera here, and that does include St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay, Tampa, Palm Harbor, and areas just to the north of Sarasota. And that is for criteria for an extreme wind warning is 115 miles per hour sustained for at least 1 hour.
Or it looks like we're getting these gusts picking up here on this camera pretty good.
Yeah,
we're shaking really good now.
Yeah, visibility is on the downtrend.
Yeah, here comes the eye.
Starting to hit the camera lens as well.
Looks like the eye wall's coming in.
Yeah,
fairly soon.
I'd say it's coming in right now.
Those are probably gusts at easily 70, perhaps 80 miles per hour.
Yeah, pretty close to that probably. You can still make out the silhouettes of the palm trees there in the background, and they're hunched over pretty good as they're galloping in the wind. But somehow we still have power.
I don't know how.
Despite at least how many power flashes, Ryan, in the last
probably
minutes?
10.
At least a dozen
10.
of them. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take back radar here, as most of you are watching the eye as it comes ashore. The eye of the hurricane is about, the edge of it is about to make landfall here, right between Sarasota and Venice. Overall, it's about 10 miles offshore. The center of it, though, is roughly about 23 miles or so offshore. So we are close to landfall here, roughly. I'm going to say within the hour, we're going to have the eye of the hurricane start moving on shore here. So we are likely looking at 8 p.m. landfall here. Or official landfall probably closer to 9, but the eye coming on shore about 8 o'clock or so.
Yeah, probably pretty close to that. And this is a lot slower moving of a hurricane than what Helene was. Helene was a very fast moving hurricane. Milton, however, is not. It's moving a lot slower. Therefore, the effects are a lot longer as well with Milton. You're going to have that rain on shore a lot longer, as well as the sustained winds for a longer duration here.
More power flashes top right. And behind the stoplight there, is that a fire going by the wires, or what is that?
I don't know if it's a cell tower or what that is, Ryan. It's just some white light that has been there ever since I found the camera. So
okay, I'm
not really sure what that is, but it has stayed on continuously the entire time. And again, this is Siesta Key, just offshore from Sarasota, Florida, as the inner eye wall is starting to come ashore. And I believe this camera is looking north at this intersection here. A lot of the wind is moving from right to left here as I'm looking at the trees here on the right side. That gives me a good indication that we are looking north here. A lot of the winds here are out of the southeast, moving northeast, or even out of the south, moving due north, as we are on the east side of the eye wall.
I'll pull that camera back up with the storm surge that we had earlier.
Yeah, we can try to find that here.
Looks like this one's on the downtrend, or perhaps another power flash there in the background as he was pulling away.
Probably not too many power lines left to arc.
No, I don't know what's up with that, but
on that street.
We are getting very close to landfall here, and it's going to be just south or pretty much very close to Sarasota.
Yeah, and that camera that had the storm surge earlier is out of service right now. Feed unavailable at this time.
and that's no surprise.
Let me see if I can go north here to see what the Skyway Bridge is looking like, and see what Tampa's looking like right now. Try to find some cameras there.
While he does that, go ahead and zoom back out here. Again, this is what caused our tornado outbreak earlier today. This band of supercells. What do you call them? Supercells?
Yeah, yep, they're supercells. Yep.
I don't know if they have the official name like tropical supercells or not. But anyway, these supercells came across the southern Florida peninsula, created at least 20 reports as of about 2 hours ago. I'm going to check that updated page here for storm reports. 23 now on the report page. So at least 23 reports of tornadoes today across Florida. And many of those were large and extremely dangerous tornadoes. So we'll hope and cross our fingers for no fatalities, but damage is likely significant as most of these structures down there are not well built. Once this does make landfall, we won't stay on too much longer after that. We'll continue to post updates on our page in regards to storm surge and places that may be in danger there. But overall, once this makes landfall, we're kind of wrap this up shortly after that. We're going on hour 2 here of our Milton coverage, so thank you for sticking with us. If you have not done so, feel free to hit the like button. It helps us out a lot. It helps the algorithm. It suggests the video to more people, so it's free to do. It helps us out quite a lot, so we'd appreciate if you hit that like button for us. How's those cameras looking, Caleb?
Still trying to get one to come in. Again, Tampa right now is in some very heavy convection, and sometimes the feed from these cameras are having a very difficult time coming through. No surprise there.
I'll pop back on Twitter here and look for some more reports coming in. It's too bad we couldn't pull up the cyclone ports that are on the shoreline here. If I were to turn on the layer for cyclone port, which is a network of cameras here within Radar Omega, we have quite a few of these positioned along Sarasota, Bradenton, a couple of these down by Port Charlotte, Grove City, Venice. Unfortunately, we can't bring those up and show you guys the camera as they are not for broadcast, so we're going to respect that. But a lot of these cameras are having really good views here. So if you guys happen to have the Radar Omega app, if you download it, or if it does cost money, but if you have it, turn on your cyclone port layer. You can watch live feeds from the coastline here. And again, Radar Omega is a software that is used by storm chasers and meteorologists. That's what you see on your screen there. It does cost money. It's a subscription-based service. So we're not sponsored by anything, by them at all, but if you want a good radar app, that's definitely a good choice. Mike Scantlin, respective storm chaser, is in Punta Gorda and also reporting storm surge is still incoming. The water height in Sarasota, Florida is getting higher. Walker Creek is now at 11 feet. That is from Twitter, Vortex. Looking at some data plots. Trying to find some good content here to repost, but overall, looks like it's pretty tame so far, but the worst is still yet to come here as this eye is about to make landfall. Looks like it's making a beeline now towards Sarasota.
Yep.
So this is what the wobble we talk about here. It looks like it's trying to wobble north here towards Sarasota. And most of the storm surge is happening down here as of the moment, from Sarasota on south. That's where the worst of it currently is.
And despite contrary belief, I still have power on Siesta Key on that traffic cam.
That's crazy.
Losing daylight, though, really hard to see. That traffic light flashing there really takes up most of the screen there. But still shaking pretty good as that inner eyewall is starting to come to shore here. I'll try to get a different camera pulled up here and try to give you guys a different perspective here as I find one.
Okay. We are due for a update at 8 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. As of 7 p.m., it was still a Category 3 hurricane as this is approaching the Florida coastline. Pop out the comment section here while Caleb looks for a camera.
See if I can get one in here to load in here for you guys.
Let's go ahead and check the power outage map for Florida. Just out of curiosity. As of 7/27, 362,000 people in Florida are without power. Customers tracked is 11 million. So that is... I'm not mathing tonight. But 362,000 people are without power in Florida. And my camera is all blurry. Let's fix that. There we go. Yeah, in the eye of the hurricane, it is actually quite calm. It's around the eye that matters. So there's your velocity here. So if you are in the eye of the hurricane right here, you have very little in the way of wind. But if you go north just a bit, you're in winds probably close to 100 to 120 miles per hour there in the eye wall. So when you go into the eye of the hurricane, it is very, very calm. Again, that extreme wind warning is continuing for Tampa as well as Bradenton, St. Petersburg, Clearwater areas. That is for, again, the wind that's moving on shore right now from Hurricane Milton. Wind gusts up to 120 miles per hour possible, very close to the lake shores. Inland, probably closer to 80, 90, 100 miles per hour likely. This thing is about to make landfall near Sarasota, Florida. We are very close. It's going to be close to Venice and Sarasota. We are extremely, extremely close to this. 8 miles away. So it should be on land within about 45 minutes. What is storm surge? Kayla asks. Storm surge is essentially just a rush of water from the hurricane, the winds, and the pressure moving all the water in one direction. And that it's kind of like a mini tsunami in a way. Think of it as like a little bit of a not going to say a tsunami. It's not one big wave, but it's multiple waves that are getting pushed inland, and that can accumulate over time. And that's how you get your storm surge. So you can think of it as a tsunami, but it's actually just not just one huge wave. It's over time. Once it's on land, what direction is it headed? Good question there. So go ahead and put the tracker tool on. We have this awesome tool on Radar Omega that we can turn on. We go to our outlooks, go to the tropical, and we turn on the cone. There is your track of Hurricane Milton as of now. It'll cross and become a Category 1 hurricane in central Florida. It'll become a tropical system as it exits Florida back onto the ocean. So there's your track, and it does not curve back up to the U.S. So once it's out of Florida, that's it. The Carolinas, Virginias, you guys have no worry about it at all. And also for the other hurricane, I believe it's Leslie out here, also not concerned right now for the U.S. You can see the track there. Steers it well away from the U.S.
Still trying to get a camera to load here for you guys. A lot of the cameras have been out of service. So trying to find one that's in service is far and few between.
Let's go ahead and take this back off. Yeah, how about the Skyway Bridge? Is that still up?
Those are unsupported right now.
Okay.
Then one of them's up right now, but you can't really see anything.
Lane asked a good question here, Caleb. Are the winds worst on the front or the back side of the eye?
So that's a really good question. And they are always usually the strongest, not always, but usually the strongest on the front right quadrant of a hurricane. And that is on the front side of the hurricane. The backside winds can still be significant. Don't take that as if once you're through the front part, it's over, because it's not. But the front part is where your strongest winds are. That's where your winds tend to be the strongest. Now, they do switch directions on the backside of the eye. Here on the front side of the eye, coming pretty close to 41 there, Sarasota, Bradenton, those are out of the south, probably pretty close to 100 miles an hour right now. But on the backside, they're a little bit less, a little bit weaker, but still significant nonetheless. Think about it like this. So your front winds are the strongest. Let's say you have 115 mile per hour winds right out of the south. That's causing a lot of damage. On the backside of the eye, the winds are out of the other direction. So what was broke one direction may be even more vulnerable for those stronger backside winds, even though they're a little bit less. Let's say you have 115 in the front, but 75 in the rear. 75 mile per hour winds can still do significant damage to structures that have already been compromised by the forward motion of the eye wall. And so it's really significant either way, but your strongest winds are in that front right quadrant of the eye wall. In this case, it's on the northern eye wall, a little bit where that extreme wind warning is. A lot of that precipitation or your deeper convection is bringing those stronger winds down to the ground. And that is still in effect here. Looks like for another hour and 52 minutes. And that is an extreme wind warning. And the National Weather Service issues extreme wind warnings when winds excess 100 knots or 115 miles per hour for at least an hour of duration. So still a significant wind event nonetheless. And right now, I believe it's still a Category 3 hurricane, I believe. Still waiting on the next update from the National Hurricane Center. But as far as I know, right now it is still a Category 3 hurricane. So still a major hurricane at this time. Oh, here we go. Look at the storm surge now. This is Sarasota Key, the camera that will not die. I'm going to take this up here. Look at the water that has now inundated the street. This is storm surge there. Your stoplight that flashes is illuminating the water on the street now. And this is storm surge. This is seawater, salt water that is above dry ground. This is a good sign that we are very, very close to the eye. Your maximum height of storm surge is near. And again, this is above normally dry ground. And this has come in, what, Ryan, in the last 10 to 15 minutes? It was dry the last time we had this camera.
I'm going to say 10 minutes or so, yeah.
And you can see the waves there on the water as it's moving in. So we're watching a video right now, and this is a tornado crossing the highway. I can't tell exactly where this is at. My guess is it's the one you say right north towards maybe Palm Beach or just south, or Palm Bay, just south of there, perhaps.
Yes, and then power flashes in the background there too. If you haven't noticed,
Yeah.
top right.
Yep, they're still arcing there. There's some helical vortices on that tornado as well. Wow.
Tornado? Where? Oh, the video.
The other one Alex sent.
I'm still trying to find it.
He sent it in the chat there.
My chat must be down then. Oh, there it is. I got it now.
It's in Goon.
I got you.
So feeds coming in and out here as expected. To be honest with you guys, I didn't expect this camera to last as long as it did.
Did it just go down?
Maybe. I don't know. It's loading.
Cross your fingers, guys. What's going to happen?
But that innermost part of the eyewall is coming on shore right now. We do expect the center of this hurricane to move over on land within the next hour and a half. It is very, very close to landfall. The innermost edge of that, I'll pull up radar here while we're waiting on this camera to see if it's actually going to die or if it's going to come back. But as you look here, your inner eye wall or your inner part of the eye is just a few miles offshore of Sarasota. It looks like the center of the eye is going to come ashore pretty close to Sarasota. Or just to the north of Sarasota. And we may have officially lost that camera.
It was a good camera. It lasted a long time.
Oh, nope, it's back. It's not due yet.
Oh, it's back?
It's back.
It's back.
I
Wow.
have to get it. I do have to give a shout out to FDOT now that they have some really good cameras.
It looks like dark except for this one traffic light. Like everything around is like completely pitch black.
Yeah, but as you look there, you can see some debris starting to float in the water there, moving left to right there. That is storm surge. So that's another reason storm surge is so dangerous, is because not just the force of the water, but because of the debris that's in the water. You have really sharp objects, large objects that are in the water and can be very hazardous before and after the storm. So it's a multi-hazardous event when it comes to storm surge, multiple levels of hazards.
I cannot believe this camera is still up.
I can't either.
This is crazy. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Just to the left of the pole there. That is all storm surge carrying debris inland. That's crazy.
Yeah, and this is Sarasota Key, just offshore from Sarasota. Or Siesta Key, I'm sorry. Siesta Key, just offshore of Sarasota. But this is seawater. This is salt water. This is not freshwater flooding. This is salt water. There's a picture of where the camera is located at. It's on the south side of the key there. We're in the most intense part of this hurricane, of the eye wall right now, and that is pushing this seawater ashore.
Uh-oh.
And again, the camera is going in and out respectively, as it is in the most inner part of the eye wall. Again, we'll take radar back here to give you guys an idea of what we're looking at here. We may have lost that camera for feed for good now.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been surprised before. We'll see.
What county are you in?
I'm not sure what county Sarasota
I got
is.
it. I got it. It's Sarasota County.
That makes sense. In the meantime, I'll try to find another camera here for you. Just try to go up here to the north here and see if any of them will load here.
I'm going to try and help you out here and look for some as well. I'm going to say landfall of the eye is probably, I'm going to say within the next 15 minutes here, the edge of the eye going to be onshore, just to the south of Sarasota.
I had a really good camera pulled up earlier on Delgado Memorial Bridge, but right now it is not wanting to come up, and that is just west of St. Petersburg. And that camera's not wanting to load in.
Caleb, look what's back.
Is it back?
Back.
It's back?
It's back.
It's not dead?
Nope.
Pull it up.
Hold on. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this a different way.
Okay, I'll try to get it pulled up here. Oh, yep. Here we are back at Siesta Key. The center of the eye, or the edge of the eye, is just moments away from coming on shore here. So what you're going to see is that water is going to go calm below you here in a few minutes. Probably here within the next 15, 20 minutes. That water is going to be very calm, very still. Right now, the winds is still directly out of the south. You can see the waves here. This camera is aiming north. So you can see all that seawater in the waves blowing north. I actually cannot believe we still have feed on this camera.
Yeah, this is definitely not what I expected out of this camera. The darn thing wouldn't give up.
Yeah, despite those power lines arcing literally just up the street.
Maybe it's on generator backup.
It could be. It could be solar too. I don't know. But those power lines are still flashing, or the stoplights are still flashing too. So very interesting.
Oh, I got a good one. Hold on. Don't take me just yet.
But right now, Hurricane Milton is still a Category 3 hurricane, a major hurricane, as it's going to be making landfall here within the hour.
Let that load in.
It's hard to gauge here in this camera feed on how deep that water is. But the fact that it has floating debris in it at least has to be a couple feet deep would be my guess. I'm not sure what the elevation of Siesta Key is above sea level.
For some reason, that's not wanting to be smooth, but on my end, it's smooth. It's really gusty there tonight. There we go. That's a bit better. I'll try and load this in my other way.
Oh, here we go. Here's a live look just west of St. Petersburg, right over Old Tampa Bay. You can really see the visibility is down here. Normally what you would see from this camera is a lit bridge. But look at the rain sheets there blowing through the lights there. I'm actually really surprised there's still power here. They're in the bottom right of your screen being illuminated by that street lamp. You can really see the velocity of the rain curtains as they're moving from left to right across your screen here. Again, this is in the outer band of the eyewall here within that extreme wind warning. So winds are probably easily gusting, probably 80 plus there on that bridge. Very, very violent. Again, this is just west of St. Petersburg over Old Tampa Bay.
These cameras are being really stingy at the way they load. I'll get my radar pulled back up here in a second.
Yeah, gonna move back here to.
While he does that, bring the radar back up there. So the eye is close, just not quite there yet.
It's not going to load in now.
Yeah, nothing's loading in for me. Bear with us, guys. We're trying to get some new cameras pulled in here. It's just not wanting to work with us.
But again, the Hurricane Milton is just moments away from landfall, probably here within the hour. Still a Category 3 hurricane per the latest National Hurricane Center advisory. The innermost part of the eyewall is coming shore as we speak. The center of the eye is going to go very close to Sarasota, or maybe just to the north of Sarasota for the center of the eye.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, and where is that camera feed coming from, Ryan?
University Parkway and Airport Circle in Sarasota. You can really see the winds and the palm trees in the back there, really whipping it from left to right, or from right to left, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's some sticks there getting blown across the road. Thank you, Britta, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate your support. If you send a link there, links don't come through. We have links banned on chat here. So if you did send one, apologies, it did not come through. Look at these winds, though. It's rocking the camera now.
Yeah,
That's
again, this
crazy.
is the inner part of the eyewall, which is now coming shore in Sarasota.
That's just rocking, man. Try to get a new camera pulled up here momentarily. Again, these cameras take a while to load, so I'm hesitant to pull it off screen.
Oh, here we go. This is, well, can't really see very much other than the violent motion of the camera. This is just west of St. Petersburg. I believe it's really close to Tierra Verde is where that camera is located at right now. Just in the north side of the eyewall is where it is at right now. You can just see, you can make out a light pole there on the right. Maybe a dead stoplight there in front of you, but look how violently that is shaking there.
We officially lost our feed from Old Faithful, our original camera. The feed is officially down.
Still exceeded my expectations. Yeah, really, really violent situation there in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, never mind. It's back. Different angle, though. They shifted the camera, it looks like, to the northeast. So that's all the storm surge there. So now we're facing northeast. So we were originally facing a little bit left of this angle, and now we're facing more to the right. You can still see the storm surge. In fact, look at that. Look at the sign there.
Oh yeah.
Left the screen there. That water looks to be about 3 or 4 feet deep now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's a standard street sign too.
Am I seeing that right, Caleb? Where it's almost
yeah, it looks
water?
like the water level potentially is just underneath that street sign. It's hard to tell with the low light. I'm also kind of looking at the median there in front of that, but the way the water is reflecting the light below that street sign makes me think the water is at least a few feet deep there.
Definitely looks like that. Storm surge could get as high as 13 feet. But most places outside that tiny zone of 13 feet is roughly anywhere from about 5 to 10, sometimes 3 or so. So it's going to be about 3 to 10 feet, depending on where you're at.
And again, that high wind warning is still in effect for Tampa, St. Petersburg, and north of Sarasota. That high warning is in effect, or extreme wind warning is still in effect for another hour and 34 minutes. Look at the debris there floating in the water, bottom of your screen there. Not really sure what it is, but it's floating from right to left there.
Let's see how far it goes before we lose sight of it. And yeah, that street sign seems to be getting more and more covered. It's very hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and try and find a camera here. Not sure why that popped up, but
again, moments away from landfall here as the inner eye wall is coming ashore as we speak.
got some good winds cranking here. I'm not sure where it's at besides Stickney Point Road and Avenue B and C. Looks like it's going to be Sarasota Southwest.
Yep, and this the actual eye of the hurricane is getting very close to Sarasota. So winds may actually start calming down here on the coast close to Sarasota. There's a power flash in the background there, a couple of them.
I would say winds at this location are probably between 40 and 50 with gusts
Actually,
to 60.
Ryan, I'm actually going to pull mine up here. This is Siesta Key. The winds are starting to die down here quite a bit. Look at your palm tree there in front of you. Just lightly blowing in the wind. This may be the start of the eye coming ashore. And this is Siesta Key, just offshore of Sarasota, Florida.
Go ahead and keep yours up there. I'm going to try and pull up some more cameras here.
That light pole or whatever it is there on the right of your screen by that building there is still moving quite a bit. So we're not quite in the eye yet, but it's close. It's very close. Nope, I'm not sure where that. Oh, there it is.
It's wobbling back south toward Venice. Venice. Sorry. It's been a night. It's been a day. Trying to load some video up here from a few counties north of Sarasota. So see if we get any luck with this or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not loading anything though, unfortunately.
trying to get some more feed pulling up here from St. Petersburg. Right now, that seems to be the most intense part of this hurricane, in that stronger band of convection.
Yeah, it looks like the website's back to being down, unfortunately.
There's this camera is still up and going there, still rocking there, west of St. Petersburg, on Isle del Sol, I think is how that's pronounced. Pretty much Tierra Verde is where this camera is at, just west of St. Petersburg. And this is in that extreme wind warning. Winds likely over 100 miles per hour within St. Petersburg right now. And with the camera shaking violently like that, I would not be surprised if we were looking at winds of in excess of 100 miles per hour. Very, very, very violent situation there. Wow. And as we pull up radar back up here, you can see where the center of that circulation is. Was moving northeast, but now moving more east towards making landfall, maybe just to the south of Sarasota, where the center of the eye is trending to go now as it's made that eastward turn.
Yeah, this thing wobbled north. Now it's wobbling back to the south, more
Yep.
so east. But
And as they get close to landfall, there's a lot of friction, a lot of interaction with land, wind shear, etc. So these things do tend to wobble just a little bit from their original track.
and here's that look back at our camera that has somehow not died at this point. That water does appear to be spreading outward now, further to the east. There looks like. Still hard to tell how deep it is. I'm going to guess probably a few feet at this location. We're trying to find some different camera angles for you guys, so bear with us. These websites are very, very slow moving today. Yeah, not much going on there. To Charlotte. Let's go to Lee County and see what's going on there. Again, not much going on. So it looks like Sarasota County is about the only county we can get a good live feed out of as of right now. All of Hillsborough County is down, looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's go back to Sarasota here. Let's go ahead and pull back up our trusty camera that has not failed us yet. I'll go ahead and switch the views up here. Let's go back to this one. And as Caleb mentioned before, it looks like these winds are starting to calm down just a bit as the eye approaches.
Yep, and it looks like the eye is starting to come ashore right now. So I do expect these winds to begin calming down here over the next 15 minutes or so.
And the 8 o'clock advisory is about to be posted. I'm going to check this out. I'll go ahead and take our radar back here. As the eye is approaching shore, we may have last final update here per the NHC. Yes, public advisory 19A. It looks like it says 120 miles per hour continues. So category 3 status continues of Hurricane Milton. And this is going to be approaching landfall within the hour here, we're going to say. We should have official landfall in the hour. However, the first part of the eye is moving on shore as we speak right now between Sarasota and Venice. Life-threatening storm surge, damaging winds and flooding rains occurring in portions of central and southwestern Florida. Milton is close to making landfall.
Yep, and currently there are no active tornado warnings in the state of Florida at this time. That main outer band of supercells has moved offshore over the Atlantic Ocean, but that tornado threat does exist through the remainder of the night for an isolated supercell or two. But that extreme wind warning is still in effect for Tampa and areas north of Sarasota, and that is for 100 knots or greater, 115 miles per hour or greater sustained winds. So very strong winds now for St. Petersburg and Tampa, Florida. Trying to get another camera to pull up here for you guys here as Hurricane Milton is making landfall as we speak. Landfall is imminent.
Looks like it's going to make landfall here as a category 3. We'll wait for official wording before we actually put the official word out.
Yep.
But as of right now, the 8 p.m. update as of 6 minutes ago put it as a category 3 hurricane with 120 mile per hour winds, low pressure of 954 millibars. So it looks like we're going to have landfall here, like we said, within the hour for sure, between Sarasota and Venice.
And just to reiterate, the extreme wind warning is still in effect for another hour and 22 minutes, including Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida, and all the way up to Palm Harbor, Florida. That does not include Lakeland, Florida. It's just to the west of Lakeland. Same with Fort Meade. But within that purple box there, winds in excess of 115 miles per hour sustained for at least another hour and 22 minutes. We'll try to get another camera up here for you, but as expected, cameras are having a really difficult time putting their feed through as expected, especially the ones in the strongest areas of convection from St. Petersburg to Tampa.
Yeah, we're gonna have landfall here probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna say
Yep.
as that eye is very close. Looks like it's sped up even further here. So we're gonna have imminent landfall.
Yep, and I'm actually going to pull up that camera. This is back on Siesta Key, Old Faithful here. As you look at the palm trees there, they have calmed down significantly. So I do believe we are starting to enter the eye here on Siesta Key, just outside Sarasota. Is confirmed also by radar. However, if you look at radar, Ryan, I really thought we were going to be in the center of the eye here. It has actually slid just a fuzz south of where I thought it was going to end up, part of that eastward push.
Yep. So it's between Sarasota and Venice. That's imminent. So we'll wait for official wording before we put the official post out. But as of right now, we are 10, 15 minutes away from official landfall. If you've been watching us for a while, been watching these storm surges, power flashes, the whole 9 here on camera with us the past 2-3 hours now. So if you're just joining us, welcome. This is our stream to cover Florida. It was just highly requested by you guys. So we'll be on here for a few more minutes, or about an hour or so more, I'd say, before we actually wrap this up. But overall, we're going to be watching this as it comes on shore. Caleb, I'm going to take a break real quick.
Nope, you are fine. Trying to get another camera here pulled up for you guys here to give you a different perspective or a different area. Kind of go through comments here to see if we have any more questions coming in here. Katie asked, what is the worst part of the hurricane? As they say, it hasn't made landfall yet. Right now, that is where your extreme wind warning is located at, and that is includes areas for St. Petersburg, Tampa, all the way up to Palm Harbor, just east of Lakeland or west of Lakeland. That is where your most intense winds are right now. The National Hurricane Center does have this as a Category 3 hurricane with winds sustained at 120 miles per hour, and that extreme wind warning is issued when winds are expected to be sustained at 115 miles per hour or greater. So right about there at that Category 3 level or higher is when you typically see those extreme wind warnings issued. But right now, your most intense convective band is right over St. Petersburg and downtown Tampa. But right now, the eye is coming ashore, pretty much right over the center of the eye. Looks to go pretty close to Laurel, just to the south of Osprey, Florida, is where that center of eye is coming ashore, and it is very, very close, just minutes away from making an official landfall. Probably here within the next 20 minutes, we'll have an official landfall. Very, very close. We'll try to pull up that camera here back from Siesta Key here, to give you a perspective of what's going on there. And this is on the northern side within the eyewall here. I'll get that pulled up here for you. And as you can see here, still a little bit of wind here. But again, we are on the northern end of the eyewall here. So start to see a little bit of a breeze here as the northern edge of the eyewall brushes Sarasota here over the next 20 minutes or so. But you can still see the amount of seawater that is inundated Siesta Key here, moving into Sarasota. That is storm surge. So this water is filled with debris. This is salt water. This is not freshwater flooding. This is seawater that is inundated normally dry land. But we are currently in the eye here in Siesta Key, Florida. And really surprised this camera has stuck with us as well. As we move north here, a camera that has also been very faithful here has been on Isla de Sol here. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I do apologize about that. But here we are. This is within that extreme wind warning. You can see how violently this camera is shaking here. This is just west of St. Petersburg. You can make out some street lights, maybe a dead stoplight in front of us here as well. I do expect these winds to be over 100 miles per hour at this time. Very, very strong winds here as we are in that extreme wind warning within this camera view. And this is just to the west of St. Petersburg, right on Isle de Sol. And this is looking north here. And we are, something interesting to note here, you can see the winds are moving from right to left. We are on the northern edge of the eyewall. So the wind is actually moving from east to west here as we are on the north side of the eyewall. Versus what we saw down in Sarasota where the winds were out of the south, we were on the front, the forward right quadrant of the eyewall where we had a lot of south to north movement. Very, very violent here in this camera here, just to the west of St. Petersburg. Very violent here at this time. And this is why when evacuation orders are issued, this is a good example of why you do not need to ride this out, and you do need to seek an alternate location. Ryan's joining us back here. It looks like we are looking at west of St. Petersburg on Isle de Sol, just north of Tierra Verde. Here at this camera that has stuck with us here. Very, very violent scene here, just to the west of St. Petersburg, within that extreme wind warning.
That is extreme wind right there.
Yeah, yep, this is within that extreme wind warning. And again, those are issued when winds are in excess of 115 miles per hour or 100 knots or greater. And we are seeing that here from what I can tell on the camera.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And as we switch cameras here and we go back south towards Sarasota on the south side of the bay, we are still inside the eye here on Siesta Key here. You can see how calm it is here. A much different picture here than what it is in St. Petersburg. But the eye is making landfall as we speak right now. We do not have an official landfall yet from the National Hurricane Center, but we are just moments away from that happening. But the worst of the hurricane right now is on the north side of the eyewall from St. Petersburg to downtown Tampa. That's where your most intense winds are at this time. And again, thank you guys for sticking with us and watching this live with us here. We're proud to be able to show this feed to you guys, as we know we have a lot of connections to Florida, and a lot of us have family members or friends who reside down there. So,
yeah, we had a comment out yesterday asking if you guys want us to go live for coverage, and the comment actually got more likes than the actual post itself did, which was crazy. So that told us, yeah, you guys want it. So we weren't really doing anything. There's no real chance of Aurora tonight that we expect. So we kind of had a free schedule to hop on here and do this for you guys. And
yep. And we're proud to be able to do that for you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And given
feel
that,
free to put your questions in the comment, kind of an open bar style tonight too, as we keep tabs on Florida. So feel free to pop in the comments there and pop in some questions. Again, with this camera, this is looking northeast at Siesta Key, looking towards Sarasota, and we are in the eye of Hurricane Milton.
Thank you, Ashley, for coming back for another month. Number 5 for you here at Michigan Storm Chasers memberships. Appreciate you, Ashley. Thank you for becoming or for sustaining your membership. I don't know if we got Jacqueline as well.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't know if we got Jacqueline as well, but Jacqueline, $10 donation. Thank you, Jacqueline, for that. Appreciate you and your support.
Tammy said, I'm surprised to see those trees withstanding those winds. Yeah, that's one thing about palm trees is that they are very flexible in nature. They can withstand a pretty heavy amount of wind, that's for sure. They are much more flexible than our hardwood trees up here in Michigan, such as our oaks and maples. Those trees would not sustain those winds at all. They would topple over and be destroyed. They are not as giving as what palm trees are, that's for sure.
I'm right now hovering the National Hurricane Center, waiting for official wording.
Yep, and we are very, very close. If not, landfall is imminent at this time. The center of the hurricane is moving on shore as we're talking right now. We're just waiting on that official word as what the National Hurricane Center is calling it. Is it going to be a Category 2 or a Category 3 at landfall? That is at the discretion of the National Hurricane Center. As their latest advisory, it's a 120 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane. We'll have to see what the official wording is at landfall from the National Hurricane Center. My guess is they're going over that data as we speak. So,
yeah, we also have wind gust reports out of Sarasota, 93 mile per hour gust in Sarasota, and that's why we see so many power flashes, or have seen power flashes on our feeds tonight, as those winds are absolutely cranking inland there in Sarasota.
There's a live look at the Skyway Bridge there. This is a still picture. The video feed won't go there, but pretty bad visibility there as the northern fringes of the eye wall make their way over the bridge. I don't think, yeah, that video won't load. Still a violent scene just west of St. Petersburg here within that extreme wind warning. This is on the northern edge of the eye wall. Notice the difference here between Siesta Key and St. Petersburg. That's the difference of a few miles. Really, that distance would take you, what, maybe 10 minutes to get there from Sarasota, maybe up 75 or 275 across the bridge. It really is not a long commute, but you can see here the difference between the eye wall and the eye of a hurricane, just going from 0 to 100 miles per hour within a few miles. That's the extreme of the eye wall, is you go from nothing to bam. So that's very intense. And that is why this extreme wind warning is still going for another hour yet, is because of this scene right here of winds in excess of 115 miles per hour within that extreme wind warning. And you can actually see, I'm actually going to pull up radar here, Ryan.
Go ahead, take mine.
This radar. You can actually see what we call those mesovortices on the northern edge of the eye wall there, as Tampa's radar is still functioning, but it is right there on the fringes there. See that little, right what he circled there, that little hook echo, that is what we call a mesovortice. Basically, that's an embedded supercell within the eye wall of the hurricane. Think of them as like mini tornadoes. They can cause winds to escalate much higher than what the storm rating is. So this storm's rated at 120 miles per hour. You can get isolated pockets of wind gusts much greater than that within those mesovortice pockets. Those are low pressure pockets within the inner eye wall.
Look at that loop of that. Just kind of mesmerized. You can see it spin.
Yep. So textbook example of what a mesovortice is. Really good depiction as the radar beam is just a couple hundred feet above the ground right here. So very low at the surface. Yep. And it's still functioning too. So
that's crazy.
It just shows the durability of our Doppler radars. So
I would say landfall officially is center of the eye right now, 8:22. It looks pretty much dead center of Sarasota.
Again, we're still waiting official word from the National Hurricane Center, but landfall is imminent, if not occurring right now.
Yeah, I'd say it's
south of Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah, I'd say it's right now. Have a report of a roof ripped off the Bank of America building in Bradenton. That's via Brandon Kopic.
Here's a new camera, Ryan, that we have not had up. This is on I-275, looking directly at downtown Tampa. A lot of power is still on, Ryan. A lot of lights are on within these high rises. This is looking south. You can see the rain curtains there blowing across 275 right into Tampa. This is downtown Tampa, live right now within that eye wall.
Ten-foot storm surge report in Sarasota as of a half hour ago.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the sea level or what the elevation is of Siesta Key that we were looking at here. I'm actually going to look that up here real quick. As expected, it's not much. Siesta Key, according to Google here, is 3 foot above sea level, so a very, very shallow island. So not surprising to see that storm surge inundate Siesta Key.
And that forecast of up to 13 feet seems to be verifying very nicely with a 10-foot report.
Yep. Yeah, and again here, those of you guys wondering, I just had a question pop up here. This is not coming to Michigan. This is not going to be like Helene, where it's going to be pulled up northward into the Carolinas. There's a large cold front. The cold front that came through the other day that brought us the fire weather that we had, the colder temperatures and the frost that we've been having at night, that same cold front is draped across the southeastern United States, and that is actually going to carry this hurricane across Florida and out into the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean, where it will be pushed away from the continental United States. So this hurricane, once it crosses Florida, is no longer a risk to the United States coastline. So it is not going to make a second landfall or get pulled northward. It's going to continue moving east and away from the continental United States.
We can go ahead and pull up a track on that too, Caleb. If I go ahead and turn this on, if we do the 120-hour cone, there's your path of Milton after it crosses the Florida area. It's going to go through Orlando. Category 1 is forecasted mid-Florida. By the time it reaches the ocean, it should be back to a tropical system, and then that should continue well off away from the U.S. And as far as Leslie goes, that is also expected to remain well east of the U.S. So after this one crosses, after Milton crosses, will be good for at least probably a week or so of any significant hurricanes.
Yep. And again, landfall is imminent. We are just waiting on the official word from the National Hurricane Center, but I do believe it has made landfall. We are just waiting on the official rating from the National Hurricane Center on the exact time of landfall and the severity of landfall. So we are just waiting on that information from the National Hurricane Center. So a much earlier landfall than what was expected yesterday. Last night at this time, a lot of forecast models had this storm moving a little bit slower, maybe making landfall after midnight. So that is not the case. A much earlier landfall than what was predicted the last few days. And as we
Still no official word here. Looks like Caleb is okay, there he is. He's with us again. I thought I lost you for a second.
Yep, I think I cut out there a little bit.
Looks like it's making landfall just south of Sarasota.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that feed up from Siesta Key. We did kind of lose our video a little bit there. Not surprising. That camera's been through a lot.
Yeah, it has. If you missed it earlier in stream, we're getting power flashes on camera, and it was close by. And power flashes are transformers or power lines exploding and going down. Well, the camera that we were watching stayed up through all of it, and it's still up. And I'm not sure how, but the little camera that could.
We'll pull radar back up here as I try to get some cameras up for you guys here.
I'm trying to
I had a really good camera on Delgado Memorial Bridge earlier this evening, but that camera has not been working since. That was the one with that car parked on it. Yep, and that camera is not going to come up. But again, Hurricane Milton, we believe, just made landfall just a few moments ago. We are just waiting on the official word from the National Hurricane Center to release that information and that data. If it did in fact make landfall as a Category 3 120 mile per hour storm, or what that indication is, we're just awaiting that data now from the National Hurricane Center. But it appears to have made landfall just south of Sarasota, Florida, between Sarasota and Inglewood. But that extreme wind warning is still in effect, including St. Petersburg, Tampa, just west of Lakeland, and that is for 115 mile per hour winds or greater, or 100 knots or greater, and that is a very intense band of convection. Now just look at velocities there, and keep in mind your radar is very close to the ground here, so you're getting a really good depiction of what these winds are at the surface, and really anywhere between 75 and 100 miles per hour at this time at the surface. Oh, here we go. This is on Delgado Memorial Bridge in St. Petersburg, looking southeast over the bridge. This is that camera I had up earlier. You can really see the rain curtains blowing over the bridge. This is in the outer northernmost part of the eyewall, just west of St. Petersburg, Florida. Very violent scene here. And there's still power on the bridge.
That car is still there too, if you've noticed.
Yeah, yep. I'm
not sure what they're doing out there, but there is a car just bottom center of your screen there. It's a little black shadow. I'm not sure what they're doing on the bridge. They should not be there if the car is hopefully not occupied.
Possible power flash or lightning there. We are looking southeast here towards land, so that could have been a power flash. But this is Delgado Memorial Bridge, just west of St. Petersburg, Florida, on the north side of Tampa Bay, within that extreme wind warning. Yeah, I can't tell if that's a power flash or if that is lightning. We are in that very intense band of convection, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some lightning in there, but it was very blue, so my guess is it was a power flash.
What is the worst part of a hurricane, Jenny asks? Well, you could say the wind for sure, but for those close to the coastal areas, I would say the storm surge is definitely the worst.
Really all the above. I mean, there's really no way to sugarcoat it. The combination of storm surge and the hurricane force winds, really, if you're right on the coast, I mean, you're taking the full brunt of the hurricane. There's just no reason to be there at all. In fact, it's unsurvivable in most cases if you're right on the coast. But physically speaking, the worst part of the hurricane is the eyewall. And that is the innermost part of the hurricane in that band of convection surrounding the inner eye. As we pull up radar here, you can see it right here. Right now, the most intense part of this hurricane is the northern part of the eyewall. Just to the west of Bradenton, up to St. Petersburg, Tampa, just west of Lakeland. That is your most intense core of this hurricane at this time, just on the north side of the eyewall. That's where that extreme wind warning is in effect right now, and that is for 115 mile per hour winds or greater, or 100 knots or greater, is when those are issued. And again, here's back to Delgado Memorial Bridge here. Very violent scene here within that band of convection on the north side of the eyewall.
All right, Caleb, we have official confirmation of landfall.
Okay.
Category 3 hurricane is official. Winds of 120 miles per hour, so they kept it.
So it did make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane at 120 miles per hour. What's the timestamp on that?
8:30.
Yep, so 3 minutes ago was the official landfall from the National Hurricane Center as a Category 3 hurricane. But just to show you the scale of difference of a few miles, here we are back on Siesta Key within the eye of the hurricane. You can see how dead calm it is here. Wind is very light, maybe 0 to 5 mile per hour max within the eye of the hurricane, compared to St. Petersburg or Delgado Bridge of where we were just at. where winds were easily gusting over 100 miles per hour there. And really, that is not a big span, Ryan. That's really just a few miles away, just on the other side of the bay.
No, it's not at all.
Like even a shorter distance between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo. Like it's narrower than that. It's not very far away at all. There, we may have lost that feed there a little bit. Pull up radar again here. There you can see the center of the hurricane, the eye, as it moves ashore just to the south of Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota is included in the eye of the hurricane. The center of the eye just went between Sarasota and Venice. Pretty much right over Venice, really. And here's a look at St. Petersburg and Tampa of where that extreme wind warning is still in effect. In fact, it is still in effect for another 54 minutes. They're going to let that northern eyewall move on shore a little bit further. And as it does so, the winds will gradually weaken as it interacts with land. So I don't think they'll expand that extreme wind warning further east. We'll just have to wait and see on how that convection trends. But generally speaking, it'll continue to weaken as it progresses further east over land. And currently there are no tornado warnings in the state of Florida. The tornado watch does continue for another 23 minutes for South Central Florida, or really the southern half of the peninsula.
We're going on hour 3 of our coverage here. An official landfall has been made at 8:30 p.m. We won't stay on too much longer. We'll stay on a few more, just ride out here. Want to see the calm in the eye as well. And then that back side of the eye will come in here probably within the next hour or two.
Yep.
For the Sarasota, Venice, and Punta Gorda areas.
Yep. And again, here's another look at downtown Tampa, Florida. This is on I-275 looking south directly into downtown. You can see the winds are behind me here, behind this camera here, blowing into town. We are looking south as they are coming from the northwest as we are on that northern part of the eyewall. Or sorry, I said that wrong. They are moving from east to west. You can see the rain curtains there blowing through that light pole on the bottom right of your screen. Again, really surprised by the amount of power that's still on in downtown Tampa.
I am too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Now, something else to note here, Ryan, is these skyscrapers. They're designed to handle a lot of stress from the winds. The winds at the surface here and the winds at the top of where you see the blue lit building there are significantly different, Ryan, aren't they?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Again, this is I-275 looking south directly into downtown Tampa.
Trying to figure out if there's another camera we can pull up here for the eye as it moves over, because it's pretty much direct dead center of Sarasota County right now. So I'm kind of monitoring my other screen here, and none of these feeds are pulling. Are they working for you or?
No, a lot of dead feeds down there.
And yes, for those asking in the comments, it's made landfall near Sarasota. I would say just south of Sarasota would be the official determination. Yeah, we can't broadcast the Weather Channel or things like that. That's all copyright and for broadcast. That would get us in major trouble. We're not going to do that. So they do their thing. We'll do our own thing.
Yep, and here's a live look at downtown Sarasota, or fairly close to it. You can see how dead calm it is there, and the stoplights are still on. There goes a car.
It's crazy, but yeah, that's very typical for the eye of the hurricane. It's very, very quiet.
It's eerily calm.
No, the video is not buffering. That video, it just saw a car pass there, so it's not a still feed.
see if I can get. Gonna try to go back here to Siesta Key as the western eyewall is going to be slowly moving back ashore here. Not really a good picture there. The camera is kind of more black and white. They don't really have their infrared on right there. But you can still kind of make out how calm the water is, Ryan. There are no waves on that water right now.
Not at all.
Again, that is storm surge, and the storm surge will slowly move its way back out to sea after the storm has passed, but it's a slow regression. And that's another thing to go over too, Ryan. Do the hazards stop immediately after the hurricane is over, or do they linger?
Oh, they linger for a while. You have floodwaters that linger. It takes a while to recede those, for one. You also have wind that's going to continue through probably the better half of the night for a lot of Florida here in general. So it's going to stay windy. It's going to stay, these areas are going to stay flooded for quite some time. And then also the lingering effects, there's power outages all across the city as well. So the effects are definitely, they don't stop at landfall. That's for sure.
And all cameras are down on the Skyway Bridge at this time. There are no active cameras on the Skyway Bridge.
Speaking of power outages, though, we do have Florida coming in with 600, actually, we can go ahead and call it 700,000 people without power. And again, that's about 12 million people tracked in the state. So a good chunk of the population is without power in the state of Florida. That's not surprising.
And here we are back at Delgado Memorial Bridge, just on the west side of St. Petersburg here. We are still in the northern edge of this eye wall. And that's the downside, Ryan, about a slow-moving hurricane. Areas that are in this situation are in this situation for a while, going on a couple hours now.
Yeah, like Helene was pretty fast-moving, and that was on top of you, and then it was, passing you pretty quickly. But most hurricanes, Milton's no exception, are very, very slow-moving. So you're going to have those effects. It's not just, one big burst of wind like we get thunderstorms. No, it's sustained wind over a period of many hours. So that's why hurricanes are definitely a different breed than our typical thunderstorms here in Michigan.
Yep. And really, you can really see the rain curtains being illuminated by that bridge light there on the north side of your screen there, really moving very violently from left to right there.
I would say it's going pretty 60, 70 miles an hour, you'd say.
Yeah, pretty close to that probably. But again, I want to reiterate that this is not going to impact Michigan or the Carolinas in any way. This storm is going to continue progressing eastward as it moves across Florida. That cold front that came through Michigan the other day, bringing us that fire weather, windy conditions, is actually now draped across the southeast United States. And that is what's steering Milton. That has a lot of influence in its track, and it's going to continue moving east to northeast, away from the continental United States. That trough is going to scoop it up, so to speak, and kick it out to sea, and it'll continually weaken as it does so. It'll interact a lot of wind shear and eventually just become extropical or subtropical in nature, and basically not be a risk at all. So that is some good news. It is not moving north into the Carolinas or Georgia or anything like that. It is going to continue moving east across Florida and then out in the Atlantic Ocean away from the continental United States. Yeah, Teresa, your uncle is probably still in the eye of the hurricane right now. She says her uncle is in Venice right now. He is still in the eye of the hurricane. There's a little bit more of this storm to go. We have the back side of the eye wall. Luckily, though, that eye wall is generally a little bit weaker, but still significant nonetheless. So still a little bit to go there for that area there. Wow, really strong gust now on the bridge. Look at this camera, wow. Ryan. It is really shaking now.
That's crazy.
very, very violent scene there, to say the least.
For sure. Like I said before, it's like a giant derecho. For those of you who know what a derecho is, summertime thunderstorm in Michigan, we call them windbags. This is just one giant sustained windbag, so to speak.
Yeah. And here's the other side of the bridge near St. Petersburg. Very similar situation there. Very violent scene here. Again, we are in the northern edge of the eyewall here. This is St. Petersburg here, or just the west of St. Petersburg.
See a question coming in here. Caleb, if you want to take that from Betty. What do you think the flood levels will be like for St. Petersburg and Tampa area?
Yeah, right now, storm surge is still ongoing and will be ongoing until that hurricane fully moves onshore. Right now, that seawater, that seawater has not had a time yet to proceed back out into the ocean. There's still a lot of forward onshore flow from this hurricane. So right now, 10 to 12 feet is what was forecasted for Tampa Bay as the center of the eyewall went just to the south of Tampa. That's where your greatest onshore push of water is. That was closer to Sarasota and south. But right now, those waters will slowly recede back out in the ocean through the overnight hours. But the threat does not end there. There's a lot of debris, a lot of sharp objects. There's a lot of just dangers within that water. So even after the storm is over, do not venture out into those floodwaters. Wait till daylight, wait till it comes up so you can see what you're dealing with and what you have in those waters. But storm surge will continue to be an issue. It'll slowly get better as the evening goes on. But again, the dangers do not stop. Even though after the hurricane has passed, there are a lot of dangers still present. From power lines being down. That's another good point to bring up here, Ryan. Even power lines after the storm, do not approach them unless you have given the okay that the circuit has been shut off by local power officials. One, just because the power lines have disconnected from insulators or whatever the case may be, they can re-energize at any time. It only takes a brief recontact for those lines to re-energize, and they can be very, very dangerous as a result. And I don't know what is going on with my camera here. Somebody is moving around having a look. Yeah, there's a better shot looking down here. And giving us a look around. Yeah, look at those rain curtains moving here up the street here. Very strong winds here. Yeah, there's a really good view there.
That's one of the better views we've had all night.
Yeah. A little shout out to the FDOT camera operator. Thank you for that. We do appreciate it. And again, that extreme wind warning is still in effect for the Tampa Bay area, and that does go for another 41 minutes yet. That extreme wind warning is for 100 knots or greater, which is equal to 115 miles per hour or greater winds. Those winds should slowly start to decrease as the center of Milton is now onshore and interacting with land. So a lot more friction is at play here.
See Stacy, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate your support, Stacy. Welcome to the team.
And again, we just want to thank you for staying with us here through this special coverage of Milton. I know this was a huge request from a lot of you guys as you have deep connections to Florida, whether it be family members that are down there, friends that are down there, or just care about the state as a whole. Again, we really appreciate this. We appreciate you guys staying with us, and we're happy to do it for you as well.
And kind of going off that note, we're probably going to wrap up our coverage here soon. We're getting close to 9 o'clock here. There's not much else for us to do here, as the worst of it is currently impacting and making landfall. It'll weaken significantly here as the eye moves on to more stable air, so to speak. It's not getting fueled by the warm ocean
Pull up
temperatures.
radar here to kind of give that a good picture here.
Right. So it's moving on to land here. So it's going to start weakening. As it does so, it should reach Category 1 status sometime overnight, perhaps tomorrow morning, and it'll turn into a tropical system as well shortly after that. So the worst of it is currently occurring and will be passing soon. But right now, we have done pretty much all the covering that we can do at this point. Wouldn't you agree, Caleb?
Yeah, I'll kind of move around to a couple cameras here just to do another check here around the region. As we know, we do have the viewers here with family members in the region, and we do want to be here the best we can for those individuals here, especially. Here's another. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait. Hang on. I lost it again. Trying to get the siesta key camera back up here because as the backside of the eyewall is coming, if this camera reloads here, you will see the wind has changed direction here. So if you look closely down at the water, the waves are now moving from left to right versus from right to left. They are moving south. So we are all starting to get on the backside of the storm system now. As the eye is now onshore, the backward eyewall or westward eyewall is now coming onshore as well. Now, this is a weaker eyewall compared to the forward eyewall that you experienced earlier, but nonetheless still has its hazards, as whatever debris was knocked loose by the initial eyewall can be further dislodged or blown due to the fact that it's already weakened. So still a lot of vulnerability here, but I just wanted to show you what was going on. I'm not sure what is in the water there moving against the waves. That's debris or a duck. I am not sure what that is.
Some type of fish.
And that could just be the general current of the water itself moving debris, despite the waves moving from left to right. That's another thing about storm surge. Storm surge can have currents that can be dangerous. So definitely a multi-hazard event when it comes to a hurricane. There's a lot of factors, a lot of hazards, and a lot of physics at play here. And again, this is Siesta Key just off the coast from Sarasota, Florida. And the backside of the eye wall is getting fairly close as the eye is now almost 100% on land. And the tornado watch for the state of Florida does expire in 7 minutes. We'll see if they reissue that at all. To be honest with you, I would be surprised if they do, just because the main band of convection that was sparking, the tornado outbreak today across Florida is now offshore over the Atlantic Ocean. That was the outer bands of Milton. That is now offshore, and there hasn't been a tornado warning now, Ryan, for probably close to 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say I think it's been longer than that, honestly. It's been
maybe
quite
close
some
to an
time.
hour. We had that one up by Cape Canaveral earlier, and that was on the northern fringe of that outer band that is now pushed offshore. There's not really a lot of convection south of that as the air is a little bit more stable now behind that band. But again, that extreme wind warning is in effect for another 36 minutes, and that does include St. Petersburg, Tampa. That is for winds in excess of 115 miles per hour, 100 knots or greater. Generally seen with Category 3 hurricanes or stronger is when those are generally issued. So not too often do you see them.
As of 8:55, we have an outage update in Florida. Currently, 779,000 people are without power. So the last update was about 654,000. we're close to 800,000 now. So about 100,000, well, 80,000 jump here in the past about 20 minutes or so.
Yep,
And
and
that
here's
will
another
climb.
look at just to the west of St. Petersburg here. And where this camera is located at, Ryan, if you can zoom in just on the bottom part of St. Petersburg there, just to the left of that marker there, see those little barrier islands or keys? This one here is located just on that top one there, just to the north of the white circle there is where I believe this camera is located, right about there where the X is. So we're starting to be on the outside of this outer band here. So winds would expect to gradually decrease from this location. There's a really good scan. There's a 3D scan of the radar, of the convection. You can really see, so south of the eyewall, there's some dry air that's getting pulled in from this hurricane. And that is not allowing a lot of precipitation south of that northern eyewall. Right in there where Ryan has highlighted from Cape Coral to Inglewood. There's some dry air coming in. You're going to have some winds, some gusty winds, but you're not going to have the intense precipitation that you're seeing in this band here from St. Petersburg to Tampa. That is still the most intense part of this hurricane at this moment. Still, that extreme wind warning is still in effect. However, the winds are going to drastically decrease as this hurricane continues to move across the state of Florida. But another thing to reiterate, Ryan, we do expect this hurricane to stay a hurricane as it moves over the Atlantic Ocean.
So it's going to weaken just a little bit as it comes through Florida.
Yeah, do you have that guide?
Huh?
Do you have that hurricane guide up?
Yeah, it's going to become a Category 1 here in the middle of Florida. It's going to weaken back to a tropical system once it enters the Atlantic, and then once that gets back out. There we go. So Category 1 here, and then back to a tropical storm out there, and then from there, it's supposed to be again tropical, post-tropical depression.
Yep, and it becomes post-tropical when it really starts to meet with that trough coming forward. It's going to really be torn apart and really just become ex-tropical in nature just because it's losing its tropical characteristics. It's going to merge in phase with that cold front and with that trough, and it's really just going to dissipate after that once it moves over the Atlantic Ocean.
Right. I do see a couple things to highlight here. I see Red Dozer, 20 get the memberships. I see Jazz, 20 get the memberships. And then I also see Britta with a $10 super chat. So thank you guys and welcome to the team for the 40 of you who just got gift memberships. Those expire in 1 month. And after that, it is on you if you would like to renew that. So thank you guys for your donation. You're much appreciated.
Yeah, Maddie. So the center of the eye did go south of Tampa. However, Tampa is still in an extreme wind warning for 115 mile per hour winds or greater. The most intense convective band of this hurricane has actually been on that northern eye wall from St. Petersburg to Tampa, just west of Lakeland. That is where the most intense winds are within this hurricane at this time. We do expect that to gradually decrease here. And a matter of fact, I'll show you what downtown Tampa looks like right now. This is a cam on 275 looking south directly into downtown. This is in the middle of that convective band that you saw on radar there. I'll add that back up here. So we are just to the north of the M on that map here looking south. So Tampa is right on the edge of this convective band that's going to slowly be moving east away from Tampa and St. Petersburg over the next 30 minutes. And which is why the extreme wind warning actually expires in 36 minutes. So as this convective band continues to move east, it's going to lose a lot of its intensity as it undergoes a lot of frictional forces. It loses a lot of its fuel, which is the warm Gulf of Mexico. It's going to gradually weaken as it interacts with land further inland. But again, here's a live look of 275 looking directly south into downtown Tampa. And one thing to note here, there's a lot of power on still in downtown Tampa. So very glad, very thankful to see that. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of hazards on the streets. Something else to keep in mind, though, when you have an urban environment with really strong winds, you get an effect to where the buildings can actually manipulate the movement of the winds to where they can act as a funnel. There's a big power flash. And they can actually amplify the winds between the buildings and between the streets. So winds can be at one speed here, but they can be drastically higher or slower depending on how the wind is interacting with those buildings. So a lot of urban effect going on here with these hurricanes.
That's a good point to mention there in downtown Tampa as we're looking at power flashes.
Yeah.
Looks also in Hillsborough County, where Tampa is, 129,000 people are out of power.
Really. Well, the highway just went dark there.
129 people. 129,000 people are out of power out of about 800,000 people tracked. I'm getting tired, man. I'm dragging. I see Michael with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Michael. I see Red Dozer with a $50 super chat. Thank you guys for your donations.
Yeah, we'll see on here for a little bit longer here. But this hurricane is gradually weakening as it's moving onshore to Florida. You can see the camera there shaking. This is looking south into downtown Tampa. Within the most, this is the most intense part of the hurricane right now, is this northern band on the north side of the eyewall. Some power flashes being noted here. As the eyewall works its way east of town. And power is back on the highway now.
Latest update, 805,000 people are without power now in Florida. Getting close to about that 10% threshold of the state. So that's about all we can really talk about. It's going to be a rainy night, a windy night, a dangerous night for those of you who live in the western part of Florida and perhaps south central Florida as well, as Hurricane Milton continues its trek eastward. We're going to wrap up our coverage here. It's been about 3.5 hours. So we appreciate you guys hopping on here, but there's not much else we can do besides just go back and forth to cameras and talk about where this thing is heading. The worst of it is, I'm going to say, not going to say over, but the landfall is really the biggest threat, as storm surge and the high winds there in the front quadrant are the strongest of the hurricane eye there. So everything else should be on the weaker side, besides, or should I say, further to the east as this moves eastward through the state of Florida. With that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here and end it. This will continue to track eastward through the night. So if you do happen to live in Florida or know people who live in Florida, make sure you're checking in on them and make sure they are okay. We'll have more scope. We'll have a more perspective, should I say, tomorrow morning as we get pictures with the light of day and get a better picture of what's happened here as we get more and more chasers and pictures coming in with daylight. So it's hard to see there in the dark. So I'm rambling now, guys. I think we're going to end it here.
I'll do one last thing here before we hop off here. This is the latest track from the National Hurricane Center. This is where Milton is going to end up going. Through the overnight hours, it'll continue to cross the lower peninsula of Florida. It'll get kicked out into the Atlantic Ocean by this upper level trough that is in place across the southeastern United States. It is not going to head north into the Carolinas, Georgia, or anything like that. This upper level trough is going to scoop it up and continue pushing it further offshore away from the continental United States. So again, thank you guys for joining us here tonight during our special live coverage of Hurricane Milton. It was a pleasure to be able to do this for you upon your request. We know a lot of you guys have family members down there, connections down there, and just love the state in general. So we are happy to be able to provide this for you tonight. And with that being said, especially for those of you that have family members down there, our thoughts are with you and with them. And we hope, we wish them the best. And with that being said, we are probably going to hop off here for the night. Ryan,
No,
do you have
Joel.
anything else to add? Or Joel, while you're on here? Everybody say hi to Joel.
Hello. I just got done with my class, so.
Good deal. We're probably going to hop off here. And Ryan, do you have anything else to add here before we do?
Nope. Just if Joel wants to keep on going for a few, it's up to him. But otherwise, I think we're done here.
No, I'm not going to do it solo.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not much else we can do here. It's going to be moving slow and weakening here. So we'll have updates on our page if anything goes like tornado warning, stuff like that. We'll post that. But
Yep.
I
But
think we're done
Hurricane
here,
Milton
guys,
did
so.
make landfall at 8:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as a Category 3 hurricane at 120 miles per hour. Right now, the center of the eye is on shore, and this hurricane will continue to create gusty winds and gusty conditions through the state of Florida through the overnight hours. So with that being said, be safe, everybody, and have a great rest of your night. And yeah,
We'll
that's
see you
that's
guys
all I have.
tomorrow. We'll have updates tomorrow for the Aurora potential tomorrow
Yes.
night, looking pretty good. So if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned. We'll have updates. We're supposed to post it tonight, but with this happening, we didn't want to,
Yep.
overload the page with too many topics.
There is a very strong CME on its way to Earth. We will post updates on the Aurora in the event of a statewide Aurora. It is actually looking quite plausible that we will see a statewide Aurora. Now, what density or what effect that is, we'll continue to analyze data here tonight and tomorrow, and we'll have updates for you as that data comes in and we have that information available for you. So with that being said, have a great night, everybody. And again, thank you for joining us through the special coverage of Hurricane Milton, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.